revelations today. Once again, it is going to be an amazing, unbelievable, powerful, uncharted expose of the truth today. I'm going to go ahead and make sure everybody can get in here. I don't want to leave anybody outside of this video, as it is one of the most important videos that I have ever done. Please forgive me for coughing. Today, we're going to see some serious victory by God. We are going to see something that has been hidden from the people across the nation. Many of you are highly concerned, and for very good reason. Many of you are worried about how things are going in America, and for very good reason. Many of you are fearful. Many of you have cried. Many of you have been broken by a system that is difficult and hard to understand. Let me say that again. Many of you are concerned about a system that is hard to understand. And whenever you deal with a situation that you have fear, it is usually that it is very difficult to plan what you are going to do against something fearful, because those things that are fearful usually deal with the unknown. And when people want to keep you ignorant, and when people want to harm you, they have to make sure that you are confused. It is very difficult to trample somebody's rights. It is very difficult to harm people when they have an understanding of what you are doing. We got a lot of people on here, and the video is saying that there's 0 people in the chat, but you guys are making comments. YouTube seems to be trying to hide the numbers. But I want to really go deep today and free your minds and free your heart from the pain and the suffering. Many of you have asked me, Dave, if I go against what they're doing with these shots, do you think they will take my kids? Dave, if I stand up against these mandates, do you think that they will take my kids? Please share this everywhere, everybody. You guys have come to me and said, Dave, if I don't get a passport, do you think they might arrest me somewhere and take my kids? What's up, Hunkin' One? What's up, Cindy? What's up, Missy? Everybody, please share. Now, guys, a lot of you are worried about this attack on the people's freedoms. A lot of you want to understand and have me make it more clear. A lot of you want to be able to break down information. Everybody share this on Facebook too, if you can. A lot of people want to be able to break down the information that I give and clearly understand how CPS is taking kids. There are other people, as there was in one group. There was actually a lady who works with the agent who has been attacking people for years who stand up against them, the CPS taking kids. And this woman tried to say, how can someone fake court documents? The first thing that I would like to say is the woman foolishly called the documents inside of CPS tribunals court documents. And I'm going to prove to you today that these are actually not courts. I'm going to prove to you today by the law, by the words of scholars, that these are actually legislative tribunals. And these legislative tribunals are not using courts of record, that is the types of court that are necessary in order to take something from someone. And they are purposely trampling the rights of the people. Now, guys, one thing that I will tell you, and you probably already know this is simple things. Anytime someone does a court case, and in that court case, they purposely fail to follow due process of law, what you'll find is that failure to follow due process of law, there's more than one type of due process of law, I'll tell you about that. When they fail to follow the proper process, they actually forfeit their own cases, and everything they do, since it was not granted by the people as law, as authority, everything reverts back to how it was before the case started, meaning they lose the case. They don't get to keep your kids. They don't get to keep lying. I think I see more people sharing and talking in the comments than it is people on the video still. But guys, we are going to see some fire today. And I don't want to leave anybody behind. I want to get all you guys on here because I'm going to make a promise to you. I'm going to prove with their own words, the words of scholars and people who understand exactly what these entities are doing to the parents. I'm going to prove to you that they are not proving that parents have done wrong in most cases. I'm going to prove to you that they have not met the threshold for due process, which means all of their cases are null and void, pretty much. And I'm going to prove to you that they tricked you guys and that it is not the common law or the law of the land or the state constitution that is being used to dictate what is happening in these tribunals, but that they are actually running based on a private association's guidance, meaning a private group of people who come together are taking over the government, and rather than you as the people who are private instructing your government, there is a whole nother system that is doing it. I'm also going to prove to you, without any shadow of a doubt, that all these cases have a system where they're not really proving anything they say. When they take your kids, they have a system where they are not proving anything that they say. I'm also going to prove to you that these people, give me 1 second. These people designed it this way. Sean K said they're going rogue. I'm going to prove to you that they have been rogue the whole time. Daniel Goheen said, how do we fight all this corruption when it's all over the place and that we just know our rights in the Constitution? I love that, Daniel. That's a good question. The way that we first deal with this is to understand what our rights are and tell everybody else. And then we as the people are going to dictate to our government using what we can see in the law and what they did wrong, that they need to return everybody's kids. Now, let me ask a question. How many of y'all on here want to see every kid returned that they unlawfully took, if I can prove they unlawfully took them? How many of you on here want to make sure that because of these mandates and forced injections and passports, that your children are never taken by one of these people, one of these systems, because you don't want to do what they said. Yeah, some big is going down, NC girl. You about to see some fire. I love that. I love how God is allowing the paradigm to shift, and many people who understand spiritual things are feeling something going on, and they know the tide is turning. The government, who is the part of the government that's doing wrong, they understand that something is coming. They feel it too. So guys, if you want this to get the remedy that we desire, I wish for you to share this with everybody right now and tell everybody, stop what you're doing. This crazy chocolate brother on YouTube is saying he's going to take on the whole CPS system, all the judges, all the attorneys, and everybody else at the same time today by himself. He is going to prove that the whole CPS system is trafficking and wrong. And tell everybody that he dares any attorney to come on here and fight what I read off. Any judge, any legislative actor, because when I get done with what I show y'all today, I promise you your whole mind will be changed about what CPS is. Now, it would be one thing. Yes, right. That's by God, 100%. It's only by God. It would be one thing if I use my own words to explain what these people are doing wrong. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the words of scholars, constitutions, and the law to prove that these people have been trafficking kids for years by design. And there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what they tell y'all. They say they are very highly underfunded, even though Arizona CPS makes $1 billion a year. And they tell y'all it's so hard for them to just check on kids because it's so difficult, and the vast amount of resources that it takes to save the children is just so much. We don't hardly get any money for what we do. I'm going to prove to all of you that it's a lie. So share this video. Let's get a couple of hundred people on here at least. Guys, I'm going to pray real quick, and then we are going to go into the biggest and most powerful expose that you have ever seen in your life. I'm not telling you after the fact, waiting on you to tell me it is the most powerful. I'm telling you that this is going to be the most powerful expose when it comes to what's happening with the children in America. Understanding, guys, that a huge number of children are ending up missing every year. I'm going to show you guys that the Fed themselves tell where these children who end up in trafficking come from. It's not about Dave Jose because I'm a nothing and a nobody. It's not my own skill that does this because I'm a nothing and a nobody. Everybody should know that. Every attorney that comes out here says, well, you didn't go to law school. Correct. You are not trained like us in the law. Correct. You are a nobody. You didn't go to Yale or Harvard. Correct. You're a man who had a case yourself. Correct. You can't out-teach us in the law. Maybe correct. But God can. And when God bestows wisdom on a nothing, that nothing quickly becomes someone who is able to take on even the worst of criminals in government. That person can take on even the most powerful because it's not their strength and knowledge that is being used. So what we're going to do is we're going to pray real quick and we're going to get started. And I promise you guys, I want you guys, every time you see something that blows your mind and shows you that these people are doing wrong on purpose, I wish for you to say fire in the comments. Because I want, when the deep state looks at this video, I want for the nation to be shaken at the fire that's spreading across this earth. Symbolically, every time you type in fire or show the fire symbol, I want them to realize that another man and woman has figured out the evil that they have been doing and that their time is coming short. That God is burning down the wicked system using the law. And God is taking the law and making it great again. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for your wonderful works, Father. We thank you for loving us. We thank you for mercy. We thank you for truth. We thank you for delivering us from the oppressor at an appointed time. We thank you, Father, for raising us up, allowing us to see truth, Father. We thank you for bringing justice, judgment, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to Gentiles, to people, Father, who want to see the truth, to people who are feeling pain, to those who are part of your body, and to those who are not. Father, we come to you thanking you for all that you do. We come thanking you for knowledge and wisdom, and we come thanking you for exposing this evil and foolishness. Father, we pray that you get this spread around the world and show the people that they can all have their children back if they were unlawfully taken, and that we can put a stop to every single case that tries to do it again. We thank you so much, Father, for all you do. We thank you so much for this wisdom. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, get ready. We're going to get locked and we're going to get loaded. Okay, so first thing we want to do is start out by sharing the screen and checking out some of the things that God has for us today. And the first place I want to go with you, mighty and wonderful people, is to a scholarly journal article from the University of South Carolina, Scholar Commons, faculty publications from the law school. And this article is done in winter 2010, filling, let me give you the title, Filling the Due Process Donut Hole. Now, guys, before we even finish with the title, the man who made this is John Gupta Kagan. And what I want to understand, or want you to understand, is if due process is not given inside of cases, they don't count. If the cases are not truly judicial, they don't count against the people to take their rights, property, and the such. Once again, this case is called filling. See, there's a void in what they're doing. Filling the due process donut hole, abuse and neglect cases between disposition and permanency. So guys, based on the title, it is possible that this gentleman who is writing is telling us that in the cases done in neglect and abuse courts, which were created in Title 42 and constituted there, that there is a due process donut hole. And guys, I wish to tell you that in real law and in fairness, if there is a hole, a void space, or something missing in a case, it cannot be a legitimate order at the end. You cannot cheat and skip due process and then believe that everything is okay with someone's decision at the end, especially when they're not a judge, especially when they got there by fraud, got there without real law, got there by bypassing the Constitution. Are y'all feeling me yet? Let me know. Let me know if this is getting interesting already. We ain't even read the thing yet, but let me know. Now, guys, what we're going to do is make this bigger. We're going to get to reading because reading is fundamental. The government's Child Protective Agency. Now, first of all, we got to realize, is this the government's Child Protective Agency? Number one, is it the state government? Is it the county government? Who owns this thing? Let's watch. The government's Child Protective Agency removes a child from his mother and convinces a family court judge to rule that the child's mother had neglected them. Now, guys, let's stop here. If somebody wants to take person, property, or break into forcefully a place that belongs to one of the people, is there not a required Fourth Amendment law that they must get a warrant and have an affidavit with probable cause? Is that not the case, guys? Y'all let me know. So notice it said that a child protective worker takes the kid. So the first thing they do is just snatch the kid. And then they have to go convince the judge they did it rightfully. Guys, is that the order of how the law is supposed to work? Is that the law? Now, this is a scholarly writer, y'all. Now, watch this. The family court judge orders. Now, there's no such thing of a family court judge under Title 42 in the Constitution. So the family court judge orders the child into foster care and orders the agency to work with the mother to remedy the conditions that led her to neglect him, with the plan of reunifying the child with her. Now, here's the problem. Guys, how does this caseworker get to make a decision on their own to snatch the kid and then come to a judge and then remedy something that no jury said the person did wrong? Can somebody help me here? Can somebody help me here? Did y'all realize nobody proved anything? Is that how law works? Now watch this. The family court judge ordered the child into foster care and ordered the agency. See, when they get the kid in their possession, then they order the agency to take the child in. But nobody gave an order for the kid to be taken by a warrant. So in other words, they just stole the kid. Now let's look. They're going to let the same person who took the kid without any proof be the one who provides services to the parent, but then they're not telling us yet that the person who took the kid has an interest where they make money if they adopt out the kid. So how is the same person providing the services that the parents didn't ask for going to be the one who tells if the parents went and did the services, but then at the same time take the kid if they say that the services were not done? Now watch this. The social worker files a report asserting that the mother has not cooperated with the agency's effort to help her and remains incapable of taking care of the child. But who proved that she couldn't take care of the child? Who proved? The child has been in foster care for 1 year. Why 1 year? Is that because that's the amount of time that it takes to get asked for funds? And the social worker believes the child needs a legally permanent home. Wait, so the social worker takes the kids, doesn't prove anything. The social worker is the one who says if the parent did the stuff that they wanted them to do. The social worker didn't prove that anything was wrong. The child has been in foster care for 1 year. The social worker believes the child needs a legally permanent home, not lawfully, not by the Constitution, just legally, a legal process. The social worker recommends that the court change the child's plan to adoption by a new family. Did anybody prove anything wrong yet? How do you take a kid without a jury? Watch this. At the court hearing, the mother says she can now take care of her child. Now, this is just saying that she said she couldn't. But in many cases, the parent could and was taking care of the child before this social worker came. Watch this. But the social worker has never liked her and has not given her a fair chance. Well, did she give her a fair chance if she didn't prove that she did something wrong? Nor has the worker given her credit for the progress she has made. The mother knows she still has some problems. Yeah, that's how they like to leave it. But she says they are less severe than they were when the child was removed. She could help solve them only if the social worker helped her. So why is the social worker who is taking the kid and making money from taking the kid the one who even has to help her if she did have something wrong? Rather than trying to take her child away, she says she tried to work with the social worker, but the social worker only referred her to other agencies that did not provide useful help. I can show you guys cases around the nation where the people won't even schedule the people, give them the runaround, let the time run out, and take their kids. But watch this. How does the family court decide what happens next? A series of factual disputes exist. Now, guys, why do they call them factual disputes when nobody proved it yet? And do these actors actually know what they're doing when they do this? Or is David Jose just talking crazy and one of them crazy parents who doesn't understand what the world is really about? And they're really just trying to help all the sad kids. Oh, they're so broken. Is that really what it is? Watch this. A series of factual disputes exist. Whether and to what extent the mother has remedied the conditions of neglect. How do we prove she neglected? Whether the social worker has followed the court's order to help her. Whether the social worker is biased against her. Well, if she's an adversarial party and the government agrees that they're going to protect the people's right, she just took the parents' right away to have their kid without any court. How is she not biased? Let's watch this. That are distinct from the ruling that the court has already issued regarding the mother's past neglectful conduct. Where did the court prove that there was neglectful conduct? Now watch this. These factual disputes are tied to legal questions. Has the state agency made reasonable efforts to reunify the child? Wait, first, where did they make reasonable efforts to follow the Constitution and not take somebody's life, liberty, or property without due process of law under the common law? Y'all catching this? Has the parent been sufficiently rehabilitated to be entitled, really, to the return of her child? No, the common law says she's entitled to have her child because God gave her the kid as a heritage in Psalm 127:3. And in the constitutions of every state, the liberty interest of the parents is the kids. The one who is not entitled to have the kid is the private entity called CPS, who never proved anything. Now, some of y'all gonna look and say, no, David, you just don't like CPS. So you're gonna say they didn't prove anything. No. We're not gonna play that game. We're gonna let the scholars tell you. Is reunification so unlikely that the state agency should work to change the child's custody agreements permanently? These disputes appear tailor-made for a neutral fact finder to adjudicate based on time-tested rules of adversarial litigation. No, it's a time for a neutral fact finder to use common law and say, you took this person's kid. But I don't need to say that. Let's keep reading. A due process donut hole exists in the middle of abuse and neglect cases. The beginning and ends of abuse and neglect cases have traditional due process protections. Do they, when this person just stole somebody's kid without the common law, without a warrant, without a jury of their peers showing they did something wrong? No, that's not correct. At the beginning, the government must prove a parent is unfit in a contested trial. Wait. So you take their kid first without proving they did wrong. And then you say, we're going to do a trial to see if you did wrong. So you take the kid and start fishing for something to say. Watch this. At the end, the government or a petition for adoption, guardianship, or some other form of permanent custody must prove their case in a trial. Is it really a trial if there's no jury? Is it really a trial if it's not by the common law? Watch this. But what happens in the middle is quite a different story. In tens and perhaps hundreds of thousands of child abuse and neglect cases, judges decide to change children's permanency plans based solely on the representations of parties. Oh my God. So CPS is a party. They bring you to this so-called judge in a neglect and abuse court that I told you about under Title 42, 674, payment to states. That is not a court. And the judge decides to change the plans for this kid based on representations of parties. Now, what parties? Watch this. Social workers and attorneys, not actual evidence. Let me say it again. In tens or perhaps hundreds of thousands of child abuse and neglect cases, right? Judges decide to change children's permanency plans based on the representations of parties, social workers, and attorneys, not actual evidence. Guys, if it's ever a time to get some fire, it might be now. In tens and perhaps hundreds of thousands of child abuse and neglect cases, judges decide to change children's permanency plans based solely only on the representations of parties, social workers, and attorneys, not actual evidence. This is a scholar writing in the law school, telling that they are taking kids based on somebody's representations, not actual evidence, and without giving the parties the ability to appeal the judge's decision. Is that how the common law works? They took your kids without a warrant in a judicial court, not some commissioner, a warrant in a judicial court. They had no actual evidence, but the attorneys and CPS workers who make money off of every case, CPS getting $80,000 to $140,000 off of every kid per year, go into a place where a hearing officer that's not a judge, that's hired under Title 42, you can see him in 674 payment to states, the whole neglect and abuse court is hired by them. They're making a decision on what they're going to do with these freaking kids with no actual evidence. Did I write this? Did I write this? No appeal. Parties who want a permanency plan that is different from what the judge orders will have no choice but to wait to challenge the plan. They can wait until the next hearing, but they will face the same procedures as the first hearing. Now, guys, they got procedures going on in these CPS courts that are legislative tribunals. Are they the same procedures as we have in common law? Because the courts of record are to move by common law, not statute of code, if they're going to take your life, liberty, or property. So how are they taking your liberty interests over your children with nobody ever proving you did wrong, with no trial by jury, with no court of record, with no ability to be able to face your accusers, with no ability to be able to have a right to show your witnesses, and they can strike everything from the record that shows you told the truth? Somebody help me out here. Somebody help me out here. Guys, is this making sense? Did we see fire already? See, everybody wants to run around and say, how do somebody fake court records? This just showed that they're not looking at evidence. They're just taking your kids in hundreds of thousands of cases. I didn't say it. So now we know, as people run around and say parents don't deserve their kids, the whole system teaches each other and understands that the doors are closed. They hide the people from the public, and they're trafficking the kids with no proof anybody did wrong. No due process under the common law, and is not a court of record. Any fire yet, y'all? Let me know. Let's keep going. Parties who want a permanency plan different from what the judge, really hearing officer, will have no choice but to wait to challenge the plan. They can wait until the next hearing, but they will face the same procedures as in the first hearing. They can wait until termination of parental rights. How do you terminate a parent's right when you swore to protect individual rights? Okay, let me not just say that, because that would be wrong of me, right? We gonna go from here. Remind me we're on page 14. What we're gonna do is go look and see if I'm telling y'all the truth. Okay, all political power, we're looking at Arizona Constitution. All political powers inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now, what are they put here for? And are established to protect and maintain individual rights. You individually in that courtroom have rights, and they're supposed to protect them. If you have a right to your child, how do they say you don't have a right to your child? That's part of the due process of law. Here's another one, section 4. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So if you can't be deprived of liberty, how do they deprive you of your liberty interest to your children without a jury, without a court of record, and without proving you did wrong? How do they invade your privacy of your family and your home when text of section 8 says no person shall be disturbed in his private affairs, family is private, or his home invaded without authority of law? How is this happening? Administration of justice. How do they say the case will go a year or 18 months or whatever when nobody ever proved you did wrong, when the law says this? The highest law of the state, the Arizona Constitution, says justice in all cases, not just some, all shall be administered openly. But they don't let you have people in the court to see what's going on, and without unnecessary delay. So you're going to go a whole year with somebody without their kids so you can figure out if they might be wrong? Really? Guys, are we seeing a little bit of heat, a little bit of fire? Let me know. See, people have been pushing like these entities are legit. Let's look at text of section 23. Notice that nobody had a jury yet in a court of record based on what we read. Everybody, please share this. This should go to the nation because they're threatening to take your kids over everything. Watch this. Text of section 23. The right of trial by jury shall remain inviolate. So how the heck they take your kids when the Constitution says they have to give you a jury and they're not? Can somebody help me? Please? Please? Guys, they'll say, well, we don't have to give you that. The Constitution says the provisions of this Constitution are mandatory unless by express words, that's from the people, they are declared to be otherwise. Guys, how is it that these people are taking children, saying that they're taking you to a court when it's not really a court, allowing a CPS worker who just graduated from high school, maybe a little bit of college, to say that you can't have your kid without anything that shows law that you did wrong? How are they letting somebody be a judge with no evidence? Are y'all catching this? Are y'all catching this? Watch this. They can wait until a termination of parental rights or some other permanent custody case is filed and then litigate whether the parent is able to care for the child. But by then, much time will have passed. See, they're using time against you on purpose. New facts may emerge because you're doing their dumb services and they're trying to find stuff to say bad about you. Much time will have passed. New facts may emerge regarding the parent's ability to raise a child. How do they know if you have the ability to raise a child? Facts that have been shaped by the permanency plan itself. And the child may have developed strong new bonds to potential permanent caretakers, adding emotional and legal difficulties. So you don't look at the amount of attachment they have to their actual parents who God gave them to. You take them and let the social worker be the judge if they should take them. And then you want to say now they're attached to the new person we gave them to. So now how do we take them from the new person? How does that sound, y'all? Let's keep going. Abuse and neglect cases involve constantly changing facts. They are unlike civil cases. Now, y'all remember the other day when people got mad at me because I said these are not court cases. They are not civil cases and they are not criminal cases. Watch this. Abuse and neglect cases involve constant changing facts. They are unlike civil cases. Guys, if they are unlike civil cases, are they civil cases? Guys, help me out here. Are they unlike? If they are unlike civil cases, are they civil cases? Do they hold the rules of civil cases if they are unlike civil cases? I need y'all to help me. Please help me, y'all. Help a brother out. If they are unlike civil cases, are they civil cases? Who gave these people permission to go around snatching kids with no civil case and no criminal case? Who said they get to be God and tell you you're not capable of having your kid? Who? Which one of y'all gave these people the authority? Guys, everybody's kids are coming home by God. Everybody's. If they unlawfully took your kids, they're about to show the refund policy. Because y'all gonna share this with the world and everybody's gonna get on them and it's gonna be game over. Watch this. The ultimate parties in interest are the children themselves. Oh, okay, so y'all doing this for the children. The parents don't matter. Oh, okay. And for them, their lives are ongoing events. A child needs to return to his parent, may ebb or flow. His parents' fitness may improve, regress, or remain the same. Now watch this. Federal law followed in all states that, the federal law never passed actually, but federal law followed in all states that wish to receive federal funds to support foster care. Oh, shots. Oh, ouch. Oh, boom, ping, pow. Watch this. Why are they doing this, y'all? Is it because they just love the kids? Watch this. Federal law followed in all states that wish to receive federal funds to support foster care. Oh, they're getting paid. Federal program to make money. Requires regular permanency hearings so family courts can make decisions based on evolving factual situations. These decisions and the lack of greater procedural protections around them are the focus of this article. So you telling me that there are holes in this process and that the government is missing something, not including what they do in the beginning by taking the kid in the first place? Wow. Holy moly. Watch this. These decisions are important because they can set the course of the children's life for years. Oh, really? If not their entire childhood. They are also designed to create the real life facts that will lead to achieving the permanency plan chosen. Thus, they shape the ongoing events that will become the factual basis. So you didn't have facts at first that were proven. Now you got ongoing events that you're going to use to make facts to terminate a parent's rights when you didn't have the power to take the kid out the house in the first place. Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Let me know if y'all are catching this fire. They're getting paid money to take the kids, just like I told y'all. I didn't say it. This dude said it. He is writing for the law school. He is trying to help people understand the holes in the system, and he don't even understand all of them because I'm showing y'all more in his words than he is showing. But we're going to go deep with them PCAPs today. Let's keep going. Now, if you don't have the right to walk up and take somebody's kid from them just because you think something is wrong without actual evidence of somebody getting harmed and beat down or possibly killed right there in front of you, if you don't have the authority, you can't give your legislature the authority to do it. And if you didn't give your legislature the authority to do it, then they can't give it to some CPS agency by statute. You cannot give authority that you don't have. But let's go deeper. The absence. Now, if you don't follow constitutional procedure and protections, your actions are null and void. Watch this. The absence of greater procedural protections in not just 5, 10, 15 cases, a couple of people's cases. Absence of greater procedural protections in hundreds of thousands of abuse and neglect cases that reach this middle stage leads to poor decisions in abuse and neglect cases. Watch this. Creates unnecessary harm to children, even when incorrect decisions are reversed later in a case. So you start off taking people's kids. You have situations where the kids get harmed by the state workers and the private CPS entity who are taking the kids and getting paid money for it, but acting like they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But this scholar is actually telling he's part of the system. He's telling what they're doing wrong. And at least in some cases violates the due process rights of parents and arguably of the children. So David Jose isn't telling you that it violates the due process of the common law, the bills and declarations of rights like I just showed y'all. This guy is also telling too that the parents' due process rights could be violated, arguably. It's not just arguably, it's point blank clear, period. This might be another one of those fire moments for y'all. It might not. But I'm sure there's nobody in America who's going to come and try to say I'm lying about this. Now let's look deeper, y'all. The federal government, now watch this, y'all. Did the states create this to make sure parents were going to be okay and nobody got hurt? The federal government, which created the legal structure, this is not constitutional, that states follow to obtain, to obtain safety for the kids. Is that what it said? The federal government, which created the legal structure that states follow to obtain safety for the kids. Is that what it said, y'all? Let me know if y'all getting some smoke right here. The federal government, which created the legal structure that states follow to obtain safety for the kids. No, that's not what it said. It literally said to obtain foster care funding. The purpose of them doing this is to obtain foster care funding. Watch this. State legislatures that write laws governing the abuse and neglect cases. Wait. How the freak is the state government writing laws governing abuse and neglect cases? For instance, guys, I'm going to give y'all all the smoke now. How many of y'all want me to take y'all to graduate school level right now? How many of y'all want me to take y'all to graduate school level? I'll show you guys some smoke that I rarely show anybody. But by God, we're going to go to graduate school level if y'all want to. Y'all got to tell me, though. Y'all got to tell me if y'all want to. If y'all want me to show y'all some graduate school level knowledge right now, I'm going to prove to you guys without a shadow of a doubt that what they just said is not the case. Now, remember, we have what's called the distribution of powers. Arizona has a legislature, an executive branch, and a judicial. The federal is giving them money to take kids in the program. So what I'm going to do is show you guys something so you can understand real quick. We're going to go really deep and blow the back out of all this corruption, all these fake attorneys who's going through the groups lying and saying that the parents are just mad and who all said what about how wrong the parents was, but nobody proved it. Now y'all see that I'm not just telling y'all nobody proved this stuff. They're telling y'all that nobody has to prove anything in these courts. It's not about law. The powers of government of the state of Arizona shall be divided into three separate, can't work together, separate departments. The legislature, the executive, and the judicial, and except as provided in this Constitution, such departments shall be separate and distinct, and no one of such departments shall exercise the powers properly belonging to either of the others. So a judicial court is supposed to tell if somebody is found guilty of some crime where they have to take away a right or something like that. If the judicial court has not found that somebody has done wrong by a jury, nobody can do it. So how is the legislature going to write statute that tells that the CPS court can change the rules of evidence? Don't just take my word for it. I'm going to show y'all the PCAPs of the CPS court telling that they have a court with a different set of rules that is not in civil cases. So then therefore it must not be under the common law. And if it's not under the common law, it's not under the law of the land. But in Arizona and other states, guys, we were very, very wise when it comes to our forefathers. They were brilliant people who loved God, who understood the common law in the Bible. And I'm going to show you that look right here. Here you go. Let's see if David Jose proves what he says. This right here is Article 4 of Arizona Constitution, Legislative Department, 27 seconds. This tells what authorities we grant to the legislature. The legislature has written statutes allowing CPS, just like I just showed y'all, in the states to take people's kids, and they create courts, or not courts. They're called legislative tribunals that are different from actual courts. And these people are writing a permission slip for them to take your kids. But the law said the people in one branch can't take the work of the people of another branch. So the legislature is not allowed to do stuff that goes against what the people granted them. Guys, the legislature allows CPS to change your children's person's names. They change the rules of evidence, and they change the courts of justice. Now, I'm going to prove to you in the document when we go back that they actually do change the rules of evidence, the rules of court, and they change the names of children. Now, many like to laugh at me when I say these things, but they don't know where God has taken me when it comes to knowledge. So today, I'm going to prove to everybody where God has taken me in regards to knowledge. It is not my knowledge. It is what God has taken me to. So let's see what the people said the government cannot do. Text of section 19, local or special laws. No local or special laws, those are two different things. See, people are going to say, well, this is talking about local laws. No, it's special laws too. Shall be, and Jonah Bay does a great teaching on the difference between special and local laws. He deals with the special law. Watch what the government is not allowed to do. No local or special law shall be acted in any case, any of the following cases, that is to say. Now, remember that these courts are legislative tribunals that are doing things that we never gave them the authority to do in the Constitution. Now, watch this. What can't they make special legislation for? Changing the rules of evidence. They can't change the rule of evidence. So if they're not allowed to change the rule of evidence, but then they are changing the rules of evidence in these private courts, legislative tribunals they created, where they go after certain persons and give an authority to some agency called CPS, which we never gave them authority to take people's stuff without permission, but they're giving them authority. Changing the laws of descent or secession. Watch this. Regulating the practice of the courts of justice. So they're not allowed to regulate the practice of court of justice, but they are creating courts or tribunals that they can take your kids. They let CPS make a decision if your kids can belong to you or not. 13, granting to any corporation, CPS is a corporation, association, or individual any special or exclusive privileges, immunities, or franchises. They let CPS make the decision on what they're going to do with your kid, but you don't have the power as one of the people who created the government. Holy moly. Here's another one. Changing the name of persons or places. We didn't give them the power to make special acts changing names. Holy moly. Holy moly. Watch this. When a general law can be made applicable. Now, guys, in the general law, you can't have a general law that goes against the Constitution. So where did they get the power to change rules of evidence in a court, allow somebody to change people's names and remove them from their original jurisdiction with their mother and father and taking them somewhere else? Regulating the practice of the courts of justice. Where did they get that authority? Now, some people who didn't watch my video yesterday, they're going to say, Dave, wait, bro. Dave, wait, bro. Wait, Dave. Dave, you didn't prove that they do this today. And rightfully so. I'm happy when y'all make sure that I do things according to the law. I'm happy when y'all force me to show them PCAPs, because it's only right that I show them PCAPs. PCAPs is what they call packet captures. It's what was talked about by Mike Lindell when he said that he was going to prove that people were breaking the law and interfering in elections. He said he's going to show this evidence called PCAP. So when I show y'all real evidence, my version of packet captures, I show y'all the real evidence of what people say in all cases, right? I don't come with some garbage just telling y'all stuff. I come with the smoke showing y'all the truth by God, because the people deserve that and nothing less. So now I'm going to show y'all some more PCAPs if y'all want to see. Now, some people will say, David, you didn't prove that they're actually doing things in courts where the rules were changed and the courts are actually doing things that are not found in law. Here we go. Here is the Pima County Guardian Ad Litem Handbook, where they're teaching the guardian ad litems how to deal with the parents. The attorneys are teaching the people what they can do. I showed this yesterday. I'll show it again just for making sure that we are concise, precise, to the point, and showing everything we say. Let's look again, guys. While juvenile court, let me know if y'all can see this too, because I can't tell what the screen is on. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see this? Let me know if y'all can see. I'll give it a second because there's always a 10-second delay. Okay, y'all can see it because I can see it on my other device. Watch this. While juvenile court is technically a part of the Superior Court, the Pima County Juvenile Court is housed in a separate building on Ajo Way near Keno Hospital, now called UMC South. Throughout the state, the whole state, y'all, the juvenile court operates under a different set of rules and procedure than those used in other civil proceedings. First of all, we know it's not a civil proceeding. Next, we realize is going under a different set of rules. Where did the legislature get an authority to create a court with a different set of rules to go outside of the constitutional protections that I showed y'all, that we get a jury? In every case, it shall be inviolate. People have to be judged by their peers to prove they were wrong. You cannot take life, liberty, or property away without due process of law. Guys, at that time, there was no statutes. There were only the state constitution at that time. So the law they were talking about was the process in the state constitution. You had to have a jury. You had to have a warrant to take anything from somebody. They have not done that. They say they are technically, good job catching that, Celestial, part of the Superior Court, but really they're not. They're their own court, guys. Now watch this. Under the common law, you can't change the rules or the procedure and process. Watch this. Juvenile court also has its own culture or way of doing things that is less formal and in many ways more innovative than that of the other courts. So they are doing things totally outside of law. Now, are they doing things totally outside of law by mistake or on purpose? Let's see. Let's see if they're training them to follow the law or not. In theory, the juvenile court is not in the business of finding fault. So a real court, guys, wants to find out who did wrong. They want to find fault and they want to mete out punishment. They want to assess blame. In theory, the juvenile court is not in the business of finding fault. assessing blame, or meting out punishment. So why they got somebody in a black robe sitting out in the front, looking like they're trying to find out if you did wrong, scaring you to death so they could take your kid? Rather, the juvenile court is interested in protecting the child from immediate harm. Now, how are you protecting the child from immediate harm when you're taking the child from the parent who is most able to protect them and letting a social worker decide without any jury, without any court of record, without any warrant, that they're going to just snatch somebody's kids? Let's go deeper. Rather, the juvenile court is interested in protecting the child from immediate harm and in providing the services, what they get paid for, necessary to help preserve the family. Well, you could have preserved the family by not taking the kids and having some evidence there was some wrong and prosecuting people first. You are not allowed to go take people's stuff, take their kids, take their rights, then come back later, try to fish for something you can find wrong to put in a report to say this is why you took their kids. Are y'all seeing this? Is this constitutional due process? This is why the lady who I showed you on video, when he asked her what's the constitutional rights of the parents, she couldn't answer, because they don't teach you constitutional rights. They teach you can take the kids and do whatever you want to do with them because you got power in it and the sheriff will listen to you. We could just go make an order like we're doing it in a real court. The sheriff is so stupid, he don't know. The police so stupid, they don't know. So they just gonna walk with you, and their attorneys and the offices of the police and the sheriff and the hospitals get paid when they take every kid. So they're in the racket too. Now watch this. It's gonna get deep. If efforts to help make the family functional, which you didn't prove they weren't functional in the first place, do not succeed, then the juvenile court is empowered to find an alternative, permanent, and safe home for the child. Now watch this. Now I'm going to show y'all they're doing this on purpose. We say that the court is not about parental fault. That is certainly true under the law. However, the dependency process is a terrifically human. It's really messed up. While the law may say otherwise, well, the law tells us how we're supposed to do it. Let me know if this is fire. See, everybody who clowns parents online and say, oh, you lost your kids. How could it be a mistake? How could it be somebody harming you? How could it be wrong? I know that you had to do everything that they accused you of. I mean, look at these accusations. Oh, you didn't go to jail because you're like Epstein. You're the most powerful person in the world and you're filthy rich. That's why you're not in jail. But I know that they would ever lie on you. So they're getting paid money. They don't have to follow the law. They're telling you they're not following the law. But you got clowns running around the nation talking about oh, well, there's no way that you could have gotten done wrong. You're just making that up. We know that you're guilty. We know that you were a bad parent. Really? So watch what these people do, because they know what the law is, right? They know what the law is, but they're going to teach the people not to follow it. While the law may say otherwise, in actual practice, fault, blame, shame, attitude, and a host of other technically irrelevant considerations play a huge role in determining what will or will not happen to a child in the court process. This ain't a court, y'all, number one. But now they're saying, even though the law says these things are technically irrelevant, we are totally fine with blame, shame, fault, attitude, and all this stuff being our excuse to remove the kids and never give them back. Guys, if this is powerful to you, please type the word fire. Please put the character of fire up if you believe that this is some mind-blowing, amazing, powerful, unheard of information taught in one place. Please help me, y'all. Watch this. There's now giving suggestion to the guardian ad litem that they're going to be able to steal people's kids based on technically irrelevant stuff that does not follow law. And they're going to say it's okay because other people are going to do it too. Watch this. None of the participants, including judges, case managers, therapists, and lawyers, all the people who the court gets to make the record from in this fake tribunal, are immune from visceral reactions to parental behavior that they never proved, that will no doubt include you as well. Hey, we want you to join in too. you're going to do it too. Guys, I hope that we can see that this is getting very, very, very serious. Because for a long time, people have told us that we can trust this system and they're just here to help, and it costs them so much money, and they're giving their lives, their sacred fortune and everything else just to make sure the kids are okay. And they told us that they were about protecting the kids. And they told us that when people do wrong, they take their kids and then they prove it in a court, even though it's not a court. And then they come out and say, hey, Casey, so happy to see you, wonderful fighter. So happy to see you. I'm happy you get to see this smoke because you're going to stand and bring it to those evil people who have done wrong. I say every person on here should share this with at least 30 people you don't know. Beg them to watch it. Do a get together at your house, cook food for people so they can watch this video together, because we are going to deliver real truth today and show y'all that they all are coming together for money and breaking the law. If you don't believe me, let me start again right here, and then we're going to get deeper into this smoke. The federal government, which created the legal structure that states follow to obtain foster care funding. Okay, so it tells they're following this to get foster care money. State legislatures that write laws governing abuse and neglect cases. Now, this didn't say they're writing laws based on the criminal court or the civil court or the appeals court or the superior court or the Supreme Court. It says neglect and abuse cases. This is something that they just created in Title 42. Watch this. And state courts adjudicating abuse and neglect cases should change child abuse and neglect laws to address these problems. So he's saying, look, the laws actually don't deal with the problems that go against the parents' rights. It doesn't happen. You are breaking the parents' rights. You're trampling them, which kills every type of case you could possibly have. None of the cases, unless you killed somebody and got prosecuted or did something crazy, none of the cases are actually judicial cases. Therefore, they hold no judicial order and they hold no power. Every one of y'all who got y'all kids taken got them stolen. And the attorneys don't want to show you this. And David Jose will show you clearly by God what really happened from the attorney's mouth, not me. Now, let's go deeper to see if I'm telling the truth. Part 1 of the article will outline existing due process protections in abuse and neglect cases, particularly those protections that exist between an initial adjudication of abuse or neglect. Now, this is after they took your kid without law already, and a final decree permanently affecting a child's relationship with his or her parent, including those protections required by federal law and states' implementation of those protections. Part 2 addresses the argument that due process require more meaningful procedures. They've been slacking on their pimping. They've been slacking on their truth. They've been slacking on their process, and they're ripping off the people and pimping the nation. Taking your federal funding money that comes from your Social Security, kidnapping your kids for sport. Part 3 will explain the policy argument beyond the due process considerations of Part 2 that support meaningful trial court and appellate rights. Are you really in a trial court? Part 4 will also discuss why alternative means of filling the due process donut hole fail to satisfy policy concerns. So it is lacking all around, y'all. But let's look. Here we go. Let me know if y'all getting some fire yet. Let me know if this is making sense. Due process protections in abuse and neglect cases, the beginning and end of cases. Lawyers unfamiliar with abuse and neglect law. Now, notice he didn't say criminal law. He didn't say civil law. He didn't say admiralty law. He didn't say maritime law. He didn't say international law. He didn't even say civil law. This guy said lawyers unfamiliar with abuse and neglect law. What? Would feel comfortable walking into trials held at the beginning and end of neglect cases, but there was no trial to take the kids in the first place. They could see bench trials that have due process hallmarks of most civil litigation. That's not the requirement under the Constitution. A case typically begins with the government formally charging a parent. That's not true because they would be in criminal courts where there's due process based on the common law. They're lying. This attorney hasn't had a full education and he's skewed in even the stuff he thinks a court must have. And I can prove that too if y'all want me to on a later date. Formally charging a parent with abusing or neglecting his or her child and asking a judge to put the child in government's custody so it can protect the child from further abuse. In constitutional terms, the government must prove that the parent is unfit to justify changing custody. Now, guys, let's see if that's the truth. He just said in the beginning that they go and let a social worker take the kid. And then they bring the kid to a judge and say, this is what we want you to do. And then he said that they don't use actual evidence. They don't use actual evidence. So how the freak did the state prove anything? They're running off of the beginning words that the CPS worker said that the CPS worker doesn't have to swear was true. In the Constitution, it is, let me thank Unity real quick. Unity said, these long videos hammer home the examples of what we are addressing with notices and affidavits. Amen. See, guys, I have to do these long videos to, in one place, break down all of your why questions. You're going to say, David, why, if these people are judges and attorneys, are they doing this to us? And I have to explain to you the system so you can clearly see how they're breaking the law. So as Unity said, when we come together and bring our notices, at the same time, we're all showing them the complete makeup of the fraud. They have never seen anybody come and tell that what they did is what Derek is saying, unverified claims that cannot be proven, have not been proven, and nobody is swearing that they are true. So really, they are running a whole court case. That's right, Casey. They lie and take your kids, and this lawyer, this scholar is verifying with the law that they purposely take your kids, do not use the law, do not make sure the accusations are legit, and then they get a judge to start ruling over your family's affairs. I'm showing y'all what the law is when a lot of people just tell y'all, you can trust what they say. The courts would never, ever, ever lie. First of all, it's not a court. No legislature had the right to create these. They're doing it for money for federal funds. They got a bribe. Arizona CPS makes $1 billion a year. $1 billion. $1 billion a year. These are the people who are supposed to give you services if you did have something wrong, but they make money if they adopt your kid out. Help me out here. Are y'all feeling the fire yet? Is it warming up in the house? Watch this. The government, like any other party seeking to prove a case that it files, puts on witnesses and introduce evidence. So they didn't verify information in the beginning. They put on witnesses usually that have to do with their own parties that make money on the case, like their social workers, their psychologists who are getting paid on all the cases to give people evaluations. Most of the time, they don't want to lose their job. So a lot of times they're going to say you crazy, even though no other psychologist or person in the world has ever said you had any issue. Simple. Watch this. Opposing parties cross-examine the government's witnesses, challenges evidence. Guys, don't believe that, and put on their own case. The judges consider the evidence presented his or her substantive law and relevant constitutional law, and then enters a ruling which parties may appeal. Now, guys, we got a problem because these entities are not using the common law. So what do you mean constitutional law? If you're using constitutional law, the so-called judge would have to kill the case at the beginning because the social worker took your kid without a jury, without a warrant, without proof or evidence, without anybody saying anything was wrong. Guys, yeah, she laughed at you when you say rights, Phoenix Ashes, because they are trained, like I just showed, to trample your rights on purpose, because not enough people are addressing this. You don't get justice even when you're right. So Phoenix, dear ma'am, you did the right thing in saying they trampled your rights. You were correct. And I don't want you to ever let anybody make you feel bad if you so-called lost your case when you told them they were trampling your rights, because they were. Just because people do you wrong, ma'am, when you try to show them what the law is and what the truth is, does not mean that you're bad or you lost. What it simply means is not enough people knew that they were doing wrong, so they knew nobody would stand next to you in the middle of the process that you are fighting. See, ma'am, in the CPS world, I dealt with a lot of people. I helped a lot of people get kids back. Didn't get to get mine back because I didn't know what was happening during the time of my case, but I will get them back by God. Watch. I've done all the lawful process to get them back. And now I'm teaching the people, and the people are going to come together and we're going to get all the kids back. But what happened, ma'am, is when I try to teach people, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, Casey, that's your daughter? Wow. That's so deep. We're blessed to have you here, Phoenix Ashes, and we love you, and we don't even have to know you to love you. We understand what you're going through, and we're going to bring that smoke to them, and they're going to fix this. And I'm telling you, we're going to get all these kids back. Michigan does do this too. They do. So let's look at this, y'all. A ruling, parents have abused or neglected their children, justifies temporary remedy, but nobody proved it, y'all. Typically placing a child in foster care, but a second trial is necessary to permanently alter a child's custodial agreements, such as termination of parental rights. How do you terminate somebody's individual rights that you never had control over? The legislature can't terminate a right, so they can't let some silly little tribunal working together to make money terminate your rights. Parties seeking to terminate parental rights must prove their case by clear and convincing evidence. Well, first of all, you can't take their kids without clear and convincing evidence. So why did you do that in the first place? The case includes proving not merely a single act of parental unfitness, but that the parent has not ameliorated his or her unfitness, and therefore a showing of permanent deprivation is required. How did you get the kid in the first place? How did you get the kids in the first place? Let's get real. Watch this. Parties have an opportunity to challenge each other's evidence and present their own. Now, guys, realize we should have not been in this administrative court. What I did was I just withdrew from this case and put everything in this Supreme Court so we could go to real court and get it on the record outside so the world could see what these clowns were doing, because they stole the kids in the first place. States treat such trials very seriously, even without a constitutional mandate to provide counsel. What? Parties have the opportunity to challenge each other's evidence and present their own. States treat such trials very seriously, even without a constitutional mandate to provide counsel. What? You don't have a right to counsel? The vast majorities of states now do so. Judges consider the evidence and the law and make their ruling. No jury, which can be appealed by the parties. Now watch this. The donut hole in between. In most cases, those same lawyers who felt at home in neglect or permanency trial, watch this, would be confused if they observed a hearing in between the initial abuse and neglect trial and a permanency trial. They would see permanency hearings featuring discussion of facts. Watch this, y'all. Now, y'all, everybody scream fire and praise God if you realize the danger of what this is about to say. Let me go back up. We gonna have to see this smoke. In most states, the same lawyers who felt at home in a neglect and permanency trial would be confused even the lawyers, if they observed a hearing in between the initial abuse and neglect trial and a permanency trial, they would see permanency hearings featuring discussion of facts not proven at any trial. Guys, all these people who've been working with agents in the CPS world, they're online posting up your documents when you try to fight, trying to say in your cases that I found in David's case where it said this. Do you realize somebody just put together some documents and nobody swore to it, sir? Do you really think you're showing that I did something wrong when no police officer in the nation believes that I did anything wrong? They saw the 5 different stories and thought this person is a freaking liar who said this about this guy. She didn't know they were wearing a wire and made up 5 different stories. And we have it. And then CPS and the attorneys hid it for 3 months, showing only one story so they could take the children. And people run around and say, I got documents from your case that these dirty attorneys who are working on the inside attacking. Look, guys, we got some attorneys. One name is Karen Petit Materna. She works in Alabama. She's all over the country interjecting herself into people's cases, along with another attorney named Connie Riguli, some fake people who work with Bill Clinton. Connie Riguli claims herself, people say, that she helped write the law to take kids. She helped write the law to take kids. So what we're saying here is these people are in the groups saying, go after David Jose. He's not real. He's fake. Of course, these cases are real. Look, I'm going to let you look, some of these attorneys give out private access to their portals and go interject themselves into cases around the country, talk to attorneys to stop the people who fight CPS in the midst of y'all. Now, I'm showing y'all what the scholar says they are doing. Can anybody deny what I'm saying? Can anybody deny what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying it, but can anybody deny this? Guys, if you're getting fire and smoke, let me know. Permanency hearings featuring discussion of facts not proven at any trial. Guys, why are they discussing things that was never proven at any trial? They took kids without proof. They go through cases, have one trial. Now they're discussing facts that were never proven in any trial. How in the world is this legit? How did they trick us for so long? How is this righteousness? And how are these people running around in the Facebook groups, working together with attorneys, attacking parents when they stand up to say something? And we got clowns out here trusting the people working with the attorneys who making money off of your kids. They try to say, I know something about your case because nobody could fake reports. What? Nobody ever proved them. What are you talking about? You've never been to court. This is an administrative hearing. What are you talking about? The legislature didn't have the authority to let somebody do this to you. What are you talking about? Watch this. In about 30 states, parties would not be required to call individuals to the witness stand, and would instead assert facts. Just say what they believe the truth is, including many loaded with hearsay. Guys, you know, hearsay don't belong in a court, a record, right? Who's making up the hearsay? Oh, the same people who make the reports that these attorneys are passing people's reports around, and we're supposed to just believe it's true because an attorney and you call them a judge made it? Holy moly. Hey, Derek, they're saying that some of the people you're blocking might not be trolls that they know. So let's look out for the people who you block, because some of them are not trolls. They might say something that look like is bad, but they might be being, what do you call it? Sarcastic. Just so you know, it happens a lot. I used to block some of these same people, but they're not bad guys. Some of them are good guys. So look at this. So parties would not be required to call individuals to the witness stand. So when I tried to call the police officer to the witness stand, they took her off the witness list, so I couldn't talk to her. And when I tried to show my preacher who witnessed my daughter laying on my shoulder 2 days before she made accusations saying I did bad stuff to her 2 weeks ago, but she's laying on my shoulder in church, loving me and hanging out with me, but she just didn't want to go to homeschool, they said he can't go on the record and be a witness, even though he was on the witness list. At the end of the trial, the hearing officer, who they call a judge, said, we'll just take your word for it. You just tell me what the person would have said. We're not going to let your witnesses go. Oh, the doctor who gave a report showing that we hid evidence because you took a picture of this guy getting the evidence and then he hid it and the other lady hid it, who was the caseworkers. We're going to just bypass that and you could just tell me what they would have said and we'll just take your word for it. So notice what happens, guys. Notice what happens. So what happens is there's going to be facts asserted that was never proved in any case, and who's going to be doing it, including many loaded with hearsay, right? Many loaded with hearsay from counsel's tables and through written reports, not subject to cross-examination. So guys, most of the stories that's asserted or made up about you is going to be from people who have never, ever, ever saw you in anybody's court. So how has this happened? How has this happened? Hold on one second, guys. Let me get this straight. Hold on. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Okay, so I don't know if somebody got a hold to Derek's account or something. He could have got hacked. I don't know. My trolls have often hacked people's accounts. So look at this. Disputes regarding the facts might exist. So they just asserted things. Now, Hale versus Hinkle case tells you that the attorneys are not able to make a record. They are in the court as persons who cannot speak to the veracity of any statement, right? Clone Trooper, Derek, I stopped the account from being able to block anybody. So I think somebody might have got a hold to his account. I don't know, but we're going to go ahead and just bypass that and not worry about it. But watch this, guys. Disputes regarding the facts might exist, but that would not necessarily trigger adversarial fact finding. So think about this. So you can have disputes about what they're saying about you that they didn't prove. The attorneys just throw some words out there. CPS workers just throw some words out there. They never prove it. They never tell that you did something wrong and prove it. But that doesn't allow you to have adversarial fact finding, meaning that you got the right to prove what they did. You don't get to prove they're lying. Purported experts might interpret purported facts in a certain way. So the casework, the psychologists and different people, specialists, might say that things are a certain way. And multiple purported experts might offer conflicting opinions. How do you tell what's true? This is why I tell y'all, don't argue science, math, science, health, none of that bull crap. Do I have a right to not vaccinate my kid? No, you just use the law. I got liberty interest over my kid. I don't want to hear nothing about who's the most healthy, which way is the best. Shut the freak up about all that. We just going to use the law and the Constitution, get the freak out of here, right? We're not opening the door. No, you're not hitting Josh, Eddie. All right, let's keep going. The judge would then make decisions about plans and efforts in the case and order parties to work towards the plan that the judge set. The judge would speak as if the plan she set is the final plan for the child, and the parties could not appeal this ruling. The permanency hearings might even refer to prior permanency hearings held in previous years. with no change other than the passage of time. Those lawyers might have, excuse me, might have the same reaction as one commentator has described many children and adults who are the subject of abuse and neglect cases. This is a courtroom? See, everybody around is looking and saying, what is this? Remember when I told y'all I cried out to God in the beginning and I said, God, I need you to help me because I was trying to figure out what this was. I broke down on my knees and I cried to God and said, what is this? God, I've never seen anything like this. This can't be court because everything I've been taught about court says that it's not supposed to be like this. Somebody hacked his account. Derek, let me let you know that if any of the trolls who have worked, who goes against the system, one of the guys' name is Miko. There's some others who work with some of the attorneys here. They put up links. When they put up those links and it says my name or some of the other people's name on it, you click on it to check what was going on. And then what happens is they hack your account. They can get into your bank accounts. They can find out where you are. Sometimes they send people to your house to take pictures of your kids. That's what these clowns do. So I want you to make sure you wipe your account, wipe your phone. Anybody else who's clicked on any of these articles by Michael Cadena, he's working with agents who have tried to destroy families who work with attorneys. And I can prove that. That's where he's getting his bullcrap evidence from and being able to get stuff that he calls out of people's cases. This is where the case information was made up. So guys, let me let you know that this is what can happen. If you click on any of those links, they will hack your phone. And right now they're using Derek's account. So Derek just got back control. But this is what happens in the real world. So let's continue to read. Federal statutory procedural safeguards between disposition and permanency. So when they took your kids and they went through their process, guys, you're going to find out they lack due process, which means there's no common law due process. It's completely statutory, and they have not taken your kids by right, and there is no adoption in the common law. So they stole your kids and just gave them to somebody else for federal funding. Now, you don't have to believe me. This guy's going to talk to you again. Watch this. Let me know if this is making sense to y'all, if it's blowing your mind. Let me know if it's fire, y'all. Let me know if it's the truth that what I was telling y'all the whole time. Please. Watch this. Here we go. These permanency hearings are creatures of statute. That means they were not created in the constitutions at all. The people never ordered them. The legislature came together and started writing statutes to let people do something we never gave them authority to do. But why would they do that? Let's see. Federal law requires a condition of federal funding that all states to comply with certain minimal procedures in abuse and neglect cases. Okay, federal law requires as a condition of federal funding, so they're getting paid, that all states to comply with certain minimal procedures in abuse and neglect cases. So they're complying and they're getting money, so their hands are not clean. Foster care agencies must complete a case plan describing the child's foster care placement and how the agency will work with the child and parents to facilitate reunification, or if the agency is working towards another permanent custody or adoption with someone else, how the agency will work to do so. State courts must hold permanency hearings after the child has lived in foster care for 14 months. Did that sound like it's without necessary delay, y'all? Is that a quick and fair trial like the Constitution say we have to have? Watch this. And every year thereafter, at this hearing, the judge must determine the child's permanency plan. Now they're getting paid every year, y'all. That is, whether the plan of the case is for the child to return to his or her parent, which they never proved wrong or had real information on in the first place by their own admission, to be adopted to live in the permanent custody of someone else or grow up in foster care. Wow. The determination including whether and if applicable, when the child will be returned to parent, including in appropriate cases, an order that a child should be returned to the parent immediately. When a child is not returned to the parent immediately, the judge selects a permanency plan at a permanency hearing that the plan mandates what work the state agency must do. The same ones who taking your kid are the ones who and get paid to adopt your kid are the ones who they let tell you what you got to do and administer the programs that they're getting paid for. That's not a conflict of interest. As a default, states must make reasonable efforts to reunify children with their parents or guardians from whom they were removed. But who's checking to make sure they're doing this, and who is checking to make sure it's fair, and who's checking to make sure they were right with taking them in the first place? When a judge sets a different permanency plan, state must make reasonable efforts to complete whatever steps are necessary to finalize the permanency plan in a timely manner. Now watch this. States' federal funding depends on their obtaining a judicial finding. Now notice they took the kid without a judicial finding. They got your kid this far without a judicial finding because there was no court of record using the common law. So what are they talking about? They haven't used a judicial process all this time. Watch this. These findings must occur on the same schedule at which permanency plans are held within 14 months of the child's removal and placement in foster care in every year after that. If a judge does not find that a state has made required reasonable efforts, the state cannot obtain federal funds for that child until the judge has found that the agency has at a later point made the required efforts. Watch this. Federal law does require some procedural safeguards. Oh, okay. So they're supposed to follow a procedure under the common law, under a court of record, under common law due process, under the constitutional due process. Watch it. At these permanency hearings, but is light on detail regarding what safeguards are required. So they're writing out what you got to do to protect the parents and the kids, but you barely tell anybody what safeguards you have to use. So nobody's looking out to make sure the Constitution is protected. They don't know what to do. Procedural safeguards shall be applied with respect to parental rights pertaining to the removal of the child from the home of his parents. Wait, y'all never proved they did anything wrong. What do you mean? What do you mean? To a change in child's placement and to determining affecting visitation privileges. Remember, there's a difference between a right and a privilege. They give a person called a non-custodial parent that is created by statute the ability to possibly visit their kids. But they cannot tell the people they cannot be with their kids because they have a constitutional right, liberty interest to the care, custody, and control of their child. Oh my gosh, y'all. Let me know if y'all feeling the fire yet. Federal law provides slightly more detail in requiring children should be consulted in an age-appropriate manner regarding their permanency plans. Federal regulations provide no further guidance on the procedural safeguards that should exist at a permanency hearing or regarding reasonable efforts findings. Now watch this. The legislative history behind the provisions is similarly short on detail regarding the envisioned procedures. So everybody's out there taking kids, but no legislature, federal or state, is telling people what they're supposed to do when it comes to the rules and protections of the Constitution, when it comes to taking people's kids and trafficking them for money. Nobody's saying you can't just take them without a warrant. Nobody's saying, you got to have a trial by jury to prove that. Nobody's saying, parents got a liberty interest over their children. You're not supposed to just go take them and drop them off at a court and say, hey, look what I found. We're going to do a process with these kids now that we can make money. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Now, who's told you guys this? Watch this. The procedural safeguards requirement was born in the Adoption, Assistance, and Child Welfare Act of 1980. Congress expressed concern that many children, because of inadequacies of current review procedures and lack of family reunification service, become lost in foster care and continue to remain in care unnecessarily at great cost to the government. So the government don't want to pay for these kids, but the government is letting people run around and snatch kids up with nobody knowing what they're supposed to do. Congress thus requires states to hold disposition hearings when a child has been in foster care for 18 months, and for each child, assess the appropriateness of their placement, determine whether the child should be returned to his or her home. How do they get to make that decision? Whether the child requires continued placement, whether the child should be placed with a legal guardian, whether proceedings should be initiated to terminate parents' custody rights. How does a parent have custody rights when they have a constitutional right to have their kids? I don't want to hear nothing about this low-level rights that they're talking about. Let's look at more. Congress, through the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997, shortened the timeline for these procedural safeguards are applied from 18 months to 12. The House committee that drafted the bill explained that 18 months is very long. Yes, unnecessary delay, just like 12 months. And you shouldn't have took their kids in the first place if you don't know that somebody has done wrong. Guys, let me know if y'all get any fire yet. Let me know if y'all get any smoke. Now, Congress' intentions was for permanency hearings to speed actual permanency. A judge would set a permanency plan, and the permanency plan would be realized in relatively short order, a year, which is not fast at all. Watch this. While the statutory text and legislative history do not illuminate what procedures are envisioned, they don't give any constitutional authority that is supposed to happen in order to make sure nobody's done wrong and what procedures to follow the law. They don't do it. There's nothing that exists. It is not here. It is not possible for CPS or the states to make a conclusion to follow the Constitution based on the law of the state or the federal, because nobody is informing the parents of their constitutional rights. Nobody is informing CPS of the parents' constitutional rights. Nobody is teaching them the law. Therefore, nobody's teaching the cops the law. Therefore, a bunch of dumb idiots are going from house to house, snatching kids like they have a right to, without any evidence, without any truth, without proving anything, without many times ability to even argue with what somebody claimed you did, with caseworkers who have learned that they can just write a report and nobody's going to rebut it. They won't even get a chance for you to fight back. You're not going to be able to face your accusers. They're going to just be able to make up stuff. The person who lied to you ain't coming to court. They can say they saw you beating your kid up in a parking lot, show no evidence, show no bruises on the kid, no marks, no nothing, no hospital record, no independent third-party witness, nothing, and take your kid, run you through the mill. They get to make money if they keep your kid for at least a year, so you know they don't want to give them back quick. Nobody's teaching anybody what the Constitution says. There's no legislative text that's going to show the constitutional provisions you have to follow. So who the heck is teaching who? Who is righteous in this situation? Help me, y'all. Help me. While the statutory text and legislative history do not illuminate what procedures are envisioned, they do help shed light on what permanency hearings are designed to accomplish. Look, man, don't freaking come showing me when you make money off of the permanency and off the adoption that, hey, the legislature is very good at telling us how to get rid of your kid. But the legislature never told us how to protect your kid, how to follow the Constitution, the procedural safeguards that people are guaranteed on the Constitution. And dumb attorneys in America believe that everybody got to follow the statute. So if nobody's talking about the Constitution, everybody's talking about the statute. The legislature says we got a process to snatch your kids up and give them to somebody else. No, we didn't give them permission to snatch your kids up in the original law. See, this is why I use the original law that tells what CPS is allowed to do, and people hate me for this. I use the original law because it says that you're not allowed to take kids in the first place. Let me help you out with this. The federal legislature, actually, when they created the law that allowed CPS to function, if I can find it, because it's really hard to find, they said that the original law, that the people didn't have the power as federal agents, which they're all federal agents because they're all working in a private program to take your kids for money. That makes it, it makes it where, sorry. What happens is when they all come together and don't teach the constitutional protections, it allows for them to create a situation where nobody understands the law. They're not teaching the attorneys, they're not teaching the judges, they're not teaching the guardian ad litems. They're purposely teaching them to go against the law, as I showed y'all in Pima County, Arizona. So if they're teaching them to go against the law, and the legislature is saying you got the permission to adopt out kids, then everybody thinks that they have the right to do this. So because everybody believes they have the right to do this, government officials have tricked parents into running around trying to prove that they did not do something when the government never proved that they did wrong in the first place, and the burden was on the government to show they did wrong. And what happened is the government never had the authority to do what they did. So here's the law here. 74th Congress, Session 1, Chapter 531, August 14th, 1935. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show y'all the purpose of this law: to provide for the general welfare by establishing a system of federal old age benefits and by enabling the several states to make more adequate provision. They made provisions. This is not a law to bind people. Blind persons, dependent and crippled children, maternal and child welfare, public health, and the administration of their unemployment compensation laws. Watch this: to establish a Social Security Board. If they established a Social Security Board, they created a trust, and this is not courts that were created by the people. And why did they create the Social Security Board and do these things? Look right here. Look right here. To raise revenue and for other purposes. So they did this to make money, to raise revenue. Grants to states for old age assistance. Now we're gonna go down. We're gonna bypass a lot of this stuff because there's a lot of stuff in this act. And for those of you who know me and how I like to teach the law, I like to not just look at everything in the act, because a lot of it is a bunch of garbage words that don't really do too much of anything when you understand the common law and how it negates anything that is against the law, often in the law. So when we read these laws, the common law is going to destroy a lot of the stuff that these people are trying to make us believe. So what we're going to do is go to Title 11, and we're going to look at Section 1101, and we're going to scroll down to 6, if I don't pass over it, and we're going to look at D. Did I pass it? Okay, here's 10. Now here we go, watch. Here's 11. Now we're gonna go down to number 6 here. This says, now, first of all, we hear people talk about the stakeholders and shareholders in this program. That means it includes a member in an association, joint stock company, or insurance company. When we look at person, they want you to believe that it means man or woman. The term person means an individual, a trust or estate, a partnership, or a corporation. Now, what I'm going to show you is what this law actually says about the right of these people in this federal partnership to take kids and the original intent of the legislature. Nobody ever want to show you this one. The attorneys don't want you to know this exists, but God let me find this one and blast these people with it. Now, the whole act is what allowed CPS to come together and take kids. Be created. Is what allowed CPS to be created to provide provisions for kids to have food and shelter and be able to be taken in when something is happening. Let me know if this is some fire, y'all. Let me know if this is a fire, because it's about to get super heavy. Nothing. Nothing. I don't know why you would file something like this in courts, tattoos too big. But if you did file this in court, I would like for you to put it on your page right now so everybody can see. I know there's a lot of trolls that say what the law, that they actually used my process. Hey, watch this, y'all. Hey, tattoos too big. You say this is written all over your document filed in courts, and boy, they laughed at me. Here's what I want you to do. and they even jailed you. I want you to tell us what the next step is after you put this out there. Where does it go next? I want you to tell us, since if you really put this in your document, then you know me. And if you know me and you put this in your document, you would clearly understand what happens. I'm not going to say you a troll that came here because somebody sent you to try to act like you did the process and it didn't work for you and they even threw you in jail. They threw you under the jail. They raped you too. A lot of people come say that as agents to scare the people. But we're looking at serious law now, my friend. You're not coming under a real name. So what I'm going to ask you is, what's the next step after you let people see what this says right here in the law? And can you tell me where anybody tells you to file this in a case, please? Is that what we do? We file it in a case document? Tell me what the name of the document is you put in, sir or ma'am. If you would like, tell us what your name is and tell us what the next step is. Don't choke now. Don't get nervous because you're in front of all these people. Because I already told them about the agents that work for CPS and with the attorneys who travel around the country telling people don't deal with people like me. But I think the people here are so smart that they're going to realize that you probably are not telling the truth. And you probably didn't get thrown in jail. You probably didn't put this all in your document. And you probably don't know what to do next. So would you like to tell us? I'll post now. No, I want you to tell here. What do you do next? And what's your name? I see tattoos to Bink. I want you to tell me what your name is. I want you to tell me what the next step is after you show people this who deal with the court. Because for me, I don't go filing my stuff in a court. I give it directly to the people who are acting outside of the Constitution, giving them notice. I don't want you to post it now, my friend. I want you to tell us here, what is the next step to bring things the way to where it needs to be? Because everybody on here are part of my affidavit groups and my notice groups. They know what to do. I want you to tell us, since you say you went to jail and this is all in your documents, I want you to tell us what the document is you used. I want you to tell us. I want you to tell us what happens next, because if you really was working with us, you would know. Come on, my friend. Please hurry. Don't take forever now. Because you're talking about somebody throwing you in jail and did all this stuff and it was all in your documents, plural. I'm wondering why you got so many documents. If you did anything we said, you shouldn't have documents all over the place. People who know me, we drop one thing. So please let me know, my friend. We're definitely waiting, Tattoo. We know your real name ain't Tattoo. I know your mama didn't name you that. Okay, I don't believe it. I can't be like CPS and just guess that your mama didn't name you Tattoo. But I really don't believe your mama named you Tattoo to Bink. I think you have a real name, and I think you're trying to come in and trying to influence the people like you lost your case because you did something using the law. And I'm going to tell you this. Everybody, let's just look at this. Sir or ma'am, if you had a case and you dropped this all through your documents and you got arrested, did you have a case before you found out about this truth? And did your kid get taken before you found out about the truth? Or did you just happen to study my truth that I teach before your kid got taken? And then something that happened that got your kid taken, and it was my fault that your kid ended up in the system? Or did you have something happen beforehand and you had to come find help? If you're really somebody with a real name, that's true. Because a lot of you guys who go around the country trying to tell people, I lost my kids because of this person or that person, don't come out and tell the truth. You lost your kids because somebody said you did something. Now, that might not have been proven, but somebody said you did something. Then you went out and start searching for people like David Jose, Chris Hallett, David Strait, everybody and their mama, because you didn't know what to do, just like David Jose didn't know what to do. So the real truth is your kids got jacked because you were facing oppression. And the kids ended up out of your possession. And then you say in all of your documents, if you dealt with me, you wouldn't have 50 documents. So we know that you're not being real right here. And if you used a million different people's documents, you surely are taking something simple and mixing it up with other things. So if somebody arrested you, it could be for anything, including spamming the court like you just did here. So the question is, oh, bro, I don't know no for Fernando Irizarry. I don't think I do. But Why would you have multiple documents? Do you deal with me? Do you work with me? Because if somebody arrested you because, are you, let me ask you this. Are you attempting to say somebody arrested you because of what I'm showing you right here? That's in the law? Because if that's the case, somebody is arresting you because you quoted the law. How does that make sense? Please help me. So who would be wrong? So let's say if I was your teacher, right? And I told you this law and you use everything I taught and you use this right here and it was straight from the law that the Congress made and you showed it to them and they arrested you, let's say for this. Let's just get some plain understanding. Would that be you being arrested because of David Jose? Help me understand. Because this is what a lot of parents in the movement do. You can read them the plain law. They can see the plain law. They're so scared of the government that they don't want to use the plain law. And then they'll show the plain law. And then they'll say the government got mad at me or call me a name. Oh, they didn't like me. And I'm not talking about this person because I don't know if I know him or not. But I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but people like Michael over there on CPS page who working with agents, he says, everybody needs to not trust the people who showed the law because they call us names when we use the law. Well, shucks, if you expose a trafficking entity, they might call you dumb or a sovereign citizen or a crazy name when you're one of the first ones to show them their own law and their own face. That's like you married to a man. And when you marry to a man, you come into the house and you see his phone on the table and it's a picture of a naked chick. And you say to him, hey, you're married to me. Who the freak is this naked chick on your phone? And then he says to you, you freaking insecure, traitorous idiot. How the freak are you checking my phone? He did not address that there's a naked girl sitting right there on his phone and he's cheating on you. But he quickly runs to, I can't believe you went against my trust. How can I ever trust you again? You went against my stuff. You looked at my phone that was sitting there open. Okay, so Tattoo, let me help you. Let me understand, because I don't know nobody named Tattoo. Help me understand, my friend. If you use my stuff and you talked about all these documents you put in, is my stuff that I'm showing right here that you said were all in your documents, so that means in multiple places, was that document, were there multiple documents you put in a case? Please tell me, because I've asked you those questions. You were saying in our video, so you may know me, but my question is, what are these multiple documents you're talking about? Did I tell you to put all these documents in the same case? Number two, if let's say you took this information right here out of the dang legislature grant of authority to CPS to deal with kids, and I'm gonna read to everybody what the freak it says, and they gonna look and they gonna say if you should be arrested for this or not. My friend, help me understand. Could it possibly be David Jose's fault if you show them the law that says this and they arrest you? Let's just say like they arrested Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks. If she says, I don't have to get out of my seat because the common law says all people have the right to liberty. She can sit where the freak she wants to in the bus, black, white, or green. So let's understand. Let's understand. I'm gonna read it out to everybody else so y'all could be the judge, because sometimes we get these people who come on my post and say they use what I said and something bad happened or something like that. They say that, right? They don't ever tell you the whole story. They don't ever tell you if their kid was gone before they learned this from me. But I'm gonna read it to the world so y'all could be the judge to see if these people make sense when they say things like this. And I don't know if this person is trying to be a snake and attack or not. This could be a good guy. I don't know. He's not answering fast enough for me to deal with it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and deal with it myself. Everybody, the federal partnership by contract that allows people to take kids is what's being used in the state and a federal program. That makes everybody part of the federal private program. It is not a law. It is not a public granted authority. It's a private program of people coming together to make money, and they all have to prove their case. Now let's go ahead and deal with this. because I don't want to be disrespectful to this person because I can't tell who it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove now that if somebody did go to jail, why the freak it would be wrong. Now, guys, if you're in a private federal program where everybody's making money, you could be a representative, an agent of the federal. And some people are going to say, well, CPS ain't federal, they're state. And then I'm going to prove to you that that's stupid too. So watch this, because I'm going to bring all PCAPs. Nothing in this act, so the entire act that created CPS, y'all, shall be construed as authorizing any federal official, agent, that's anybody working in CPS, or representative in carrying out any of the provisions of this act. So if you're going to take kids in and take care of them, watch this, to take charge of any child over the objection of either of the parents of such child or the person standing in loco parentis to such child. Now, guys, I just showed y'all that the whole law that created CPS says they can't take your kids. Okay, awesome. So I'm so happy that you said that. I never put in your documents. I put my own by research. That's beautiful. And by the end of the video, I'll put that out for everyone to see. Well, we don't really even need it now, because when you came on, you kind of just blanket made a statement that you put this in your paperwork and you went to jail. So what it makes it look like is you did something that I said, and then you got arrested for it with no other facts. So then what happens is in the middle of my video where I'm teaching people that these people are clowns and liars, when I show people what the law says, you come in the middle and you show some stuff that makes it look like you did what I showed right here, put it in your documents, and they arrested you for it. That's what the impression it gives. I'm not saying you did that on purpose, my friends, so don't think I'm saying that. But that's what happens when you come on somebody's video that's teaching. Now, guys, I'm showing y'all that it says right here that the federal agents, representatives, and actors don't have any power to take people's kids. Did I not prove it to y'all right there? Yes or no? Did I not prove it? Yes or no? Please let me know, guys. If y'all just seen fire or smoke, let me know. I don't need to go live, tattoos to being your situation ain't got nothing to do with me now. If you did it all on your own by yourself, I ain't even got nothing to do with it. Is no point in me going live with you or talking about it. You can tell your story, and I think people should see, but that really ain't got nothing to do for me. That has nothing to do with me because, like you said, you didn't do my process. You did your own thing. So I appreciate you for fighting and doing your own process and research. I'm proud of you for that because it takes a real monster in a good way. I'm not being negative towards you. A real fighter or a real trooper to step up and study on their own. So I want to praise you for that. But when you come in here showing some stuff that's not actually the way that things really work in what we do, and you say it and you don't clarify, then I got to be careful for what I do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we don't have time now to look up somebody threatening a judge, my friend. You can get with me later on that, but we're here to learn how to stop this stuff, and it's getting ready to stop. And I don't want to be negative, but it's almost like you interrupted with what's going on. But praise God you did, because it shows that a lot of people say stuff without clarity. And what ends up happening is people start to believe things that are not true. Like there's a lot of people who go around saying that they went to jail. No, not a lot. There's a few people who are trolls and fakes who say they did my stuff and went to jail. And then we say, okay, well, show us the case. Show us where you put it in. Show us the whole record. Show us when you did it. Show us that you followed the steps that we take. Show everybody right now, and nobody's ever able to do it. So we end up having to get this way. So I'm not trying to be negative towards you, my friend. I love you. I'm sorry about anything you've suffered through, jail time or anything like that. But it's just kind of weird that a lot of people just pop up out of nowhere on channels talking about stuff and not being clear about things when we're presenting evidence that proves that these people are doing wrong. So guys, what I'm going to do is show y'all the director of Arizona CPS, PCAPS. People will tell you that these actors are not federal agents because they work in the state, or they're called Arizona CPS or something. So what I'm going to do, guys, is show y'all some smoke to help you understand that the federal legislatures have been tricked into allowing federal partners in the states in private programs to trample your rights on purpose and against the law. So ARS, Arizona Revised Statute 8-453, powers and duties. Powers and duties of who? Let's see. The director. The director shall, okay? So there's a lot of things the director shall do. Now, guys, in a court of record, the tribunal who is bringing the case cannot be connected with the judge who is also in the case, who's a magistrate. They have to be independent. So let's see some of the obligations of the CPS judge and the duties. So let's see. What's their duties for the head person in DCS in Arizona? This is what the legislature allows him to do: coordinate with, contract with, or assist other departments, agencies, and institutions of the state and local and federal governments in the furtherance of the department's purposes, objectives, and programs. You can go contract with people, collect money owed to the departments, accept and disperse grants, matching funds. See, guys, when they get paid funds for taking your kids, they can get matching funds too. So they say, oh, it costs us this much money. Now we're going to take some more money out of Social Security and match that. I know, thank you, Tattoos. I really believe that you didn't even have my docs. That's why I asked the questions I did, because you came on and said things in such a way that made me believe that you didn't even have my docs. You didn't have the information that I really teach. And that's why I wanted to show everybody that you didn't really have it. That's why I asked you to post it. So you're very wise, because you know exactly what I was doing. It's almost like I understand how this process works. And I understand what happens when people leave information that's not clear. And I know they didn't use my stuff. It shows that I'm not saying the things I said to you to go post it right now by wisdom. I mean, by a lie. I did it by wisdom, my friend. God allows me to know how people drop information at certain times that are not productive when it comes to people learning the truth. So therefore, you just partook in God showing the people that a lot of times people will say things and drop information. I didn't even get to read what the law said yet, and you said it was posted all in your documents. So apparently you've been here watching. And I actually use that information to teach people and to send some of our documents, but you're truly here saying you never used it. So thank you so much for showing that information, my friend, and letting everybody know that when Dave tells people or makes a challenge immediately, he's doing it by wisdom. I appreciate that. But please don't interrupt any further, because this is so important for the nation and we're about to win all the kids back. I don't wish to block you, but I will in a heartbeat. So just understand, I'm not doing it out of malice. I'm doing it out of love for everybody else. And I don't feel like you came in with full disclosure and clarity enough to have a duty to you to keep you here. So the next thing you say that interrupts, I'm just going to remove you. Now, guys, number 15, we're going to see what the authority is given to by the legislature to this clown, the director of CPS. Y'all ready? People say, David Jose, they're not federal agents. They're not federal agents. Oh, okay. So they're state workers because they work in what's called state CPS, right? Oh, okay. All right. Real easy, y'all. The director shall, watch this, y'all, act as an agent of the federal government in furtherance of any functions of the department. The director of CPS is a federal agent while he's carrying out all the functions of the department, and the legislature is giving him permission. Did y'all catch that? Guys, tell me if this is fire. The CPS so-called state worker is a federal agent when he furthers the actions of the department. So every time they come against you, they're acting as federal agents. But it just said no federal agent can take charge over somebody's kid with the ejection of either of the parents. If the parents don't want you to take them, they can't take them. Are y'all catching that? Now, let's look at another one. The common law says that the tribunal that brings the case can't be working with the judge or magistrate at the same time. Let's look again. The director shall cooperate with the superior court. Wait, so supposedly he's a executive branch agent in the state, but he gets to cooperate with the superior court in all matters related to this title. Now, he actually is making rules for what's going to happen with the kids. The legislature changed the rules of court to create this whole entity. And this guy is collecting money, contracting with private entities, acting as a federal agent, working with the state court, all at the same time without law. Are y'all catching this? The CPS workers are in a federal partnership, making them agents of the federal government to take your kids for money. They never had the authority to do so. They never followed the common law. They never wrote statute to tell the constitutional protections in the state or federal. They never taught the civil rights, the statutory rights, and the common law or bills of rights for the people of their state constitutions. So they're stealing your kids using a process you ain't never seen before. They don't tell you how to stop it. They are all together not using the law. The attorneys are teaching inside of the documents that they use to take the kids that it's okay to take your kids against the law. They know what the law is, but they're going to do otherwise, as they said. And then they're coming into the court saying that things happened that nobody proved anywhere. They're writing a report about it. Go out to your family, tell your family, hey, they made a mistake. They did this, and we don't trust that they can have their kids. The family says, well, I guess because you gave me a report and you're a court, I'm going to believe it because it has to be done by the right process, not knowing that these people have come together, lied, colluded for money, put things together, and often paid your family members to be part of it. Holy moly. Guys, is this fire or no? Let me know. We're going to go deeper now. These hearings call upon judges to make both legal and factual conclusions that are distinct from the finding of abuse or neglect that justified the child's entry into foster care. Remember, nobody ever proved anything. A caseworker just came and took the kid, got him into the state care, donated them, and now the state is playing judge over the kid's life, but nobody ever talks about the fact that the CPS worker, who was an adversarial party, went around and took the kids without anybody's permission. The legislature, who's supposed to be making the law for the people, for the government workers, are allowing the agencies to have free reign over the people's kids without any due process rights shown. Also, Arizona had to make a statutory parental bill of rights because people were acting so crazy against parents because nobody ever showed them that the parents had the rights to be over the care, custody, and control of their kids. So, guys, what gives here? Let's go deeper. That is, the judge decides where the child will live in the immediate future, not the parents who the child belongs to, right? And cannot be done at the time a judge orders a child to be placed for the first time. Second, when a child will remain in foster care, the judge should decide what permanent custody arrangement the child should have in the future. Okay, so guys, y'all seeing all this, right? Now, there's a big possibility that the caseworkers could just not give the kids the due process. Give the family a process to get their kids back and just write that they did because nobody's telling the truth anyway, right? It stands to reason that both of these determinations, let me go up. This determination is based, excuse me, as much on development since the child's entry. So they took the child unlawfully. Now they're trying to go around and find stuff that they could use as developments to keep the kid there. Into foster care, as is based on underlying adjudication of parental unfitness. So they're doing research to try to find out what they can say you didn't do right. You yelled too loud in the house. You got Cheerios on the floor. They came to your house and you had more than 4 dishes in the sink. These are real requirements, y'all. It stands to reason that both of these determinations would be informed by analyzing the adequacy of the foster care agency's case plan and the parent's compliance or lack thereof. Why do they have to comply with something that was never constitutional in the first place? So when people say, David, why did you not go to your termination hearing? I withdrew from the case when I found out it was a fraud. So if I withdrew from the case, I'm not choosing to be part of their association anymore. Now, this is not a court case. This is just a membership association that they're forcing you into, and they're not telling you. Now, some people are going to say, David, you're a dummy. You sit up here saying that this is just a private membership running cases on your kids and your elderly and not a court case. That's just dumb. Even though you just showed us that this is not a civil case, that the legislature has never been able to make law to change courts of record and their process and the rules of evidence. Because they can't, you're going to sit here and say, David, that this is just a private association running these cases? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe I might say it, right? I don't give a freak. I will say the stuff other people won't say. But the one thing is, I will prove it to them. So let's look. Indeed, an illustrative state law provides that when a judge decides whether a child should return home to her parent at a permanency hearing, right? His or her, let me see. The court shall review the failure of the parent to substantially comply. Why the freak we got to comply to some kids running around snatching people's kids up without law? With terms and conditions of the case service plan. I don't have to serve you to get my kids back, dumb. You don't get to take my kids and tell me I get to do services for you that y'all get paid for in a federal program that's not following the common law or anything with the court of record. And you got the nerve to tell me that I'm wrong and I'm lying? Let's get real here. So let's look deeper. His or her parent would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. Well, how the freak do you figure that out? Now watch this. Moreover, following the AFSA amendments, these hearings are supposed to be final determinations on these issues, as the foster care agency is expected to work to achieve promptly the identified permanency plan. Timeliness is crucial, especially as AFSA's legislative history indicates in cases involving children. Third, the judge shall decide whether the foster care agency has made reasonable efforts to achieve previously set permanency plans. So y'all can see what's going on here. Now, I'm gonna let y'all see what the freak the judge has to say. Let me know. Give me some fire, y'all. Give me some feedback if this blows your brains out. Watch this. Here we go. We're only on page 11 of 52. I ain't gonna read the whole thing, but we're gonna read a little bit. Eric Washington, the chief judge of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, the district's highest court, was formerly a trial judge in the District of Columbia Superior Court and described the procedures for the permanency plan changes in this way. Thinking back to my time as a trial judge, I remember a social worker or somebody coming in and arguing that the individual who had been adjudicated neglectful or stipulated to neglect had once again failed to do something they had been ordered to do by the court. And therefore, they were recommending that the goal should be changed. I was never sure if there was a requirement or a notice that was given. Now, why does he understand that there's supposed to be a notice that was given that at this hearing, we are going to be discussing a change in the goal? So part of due process is notice. How is it that the dumb judge don't know if there should be notice about what the freak we're doing at court? How do you have a hearing and not tell people what to prepare for? This is the freaking judge. When I tell y'all these clowns don't really know the law, his mind and heart tells him, it seems like we should be giving the parents notice about what we're going to be talking about, but they're not doing it. But I remember this case or this happened. No, what you remember is somebody's rights got trampled. You should have put these freaking clowns in contempt of court and threw them in jail on the spot because you swore by oath as a judge to protect the individual rights of the people. And when you saw a clown in practice bypassing the right of one of the people and not telling them why they're there in a hearing, while you're trying to take their kids from them, at the same time, you are trampling the person's rights. And your heart knows that you're doing it. This is why I get mad with Professor Clements and people like Susan Sanbrino who will say they laugh at my notices. When the dumb judges they were in the courtroom with, who they admit they watch trample people's rights and destroy people's lives in CPS courts and other courts day after day, they never made charges to prosecute anybody. They never went to the FBI to prosecute these people ever. They'll say that their industry was wrong. They'll write books about it and go on Tucker Carlson or whoever, Hannity, whatever, and make money. They'll get fame off of what they saw. But they ain't never had the nerve to show y'all this stuff. Never. Now, I'm going to prove to y'all that these are private associations. Chief Judge Washington's confusion is understandable. Guys, how the freak do you say Chief Judge Washington? He's a chief freaking judge in DC and he don't understand this? Chief Judge Washington's confusion is understandable. Guys, if he can't understand that you need to give people notice of what we're talking about when we're going somewhere rather than just bringing them without knowing so they can't be prepared, then your ignorance of the law is of no excuse and is not understandable to me. You get paid to be a judge. The district's permanency hearing statute requires the foster care agency to submit a report at least 10 days in advance of a permanency hearing, but does not explicitly require a statement of the state agency's recommended plans. So you got the parents fighting something, they don't know what they're going to go see. The statute is silent regarding any advance notice of plan. This is why you can't change the rules of court. Because in a court of record, everybody has to have notice. When I came after them, I gave them notice of what I'm coming with. I'm coming with a court of record. The person who makes some claims need to swear under penalty of perjury, sign, and put a thumbprint on that mud. So I make sure that we got the right person. And we need to do this in a court of record with a trial by jury. When they got that case from me, when I got a little bit smarter, they ran and hid, never to be seen again. But I gave advance notice of what I was coming to do. But you're going to tell me judges don't understand and the dumb legislature ain't writing statute to tell that these dummies who never had a position where they should be taking your kids in the first place, they don't see. The attorneys in the legislature across the country are telling them what to write in the legislation. And if they try to write something else, I can prove this too. Legislative council says, no, you can't put that in. We're not going to let that happen. And then when they get tired of you trying to get stuff for the people or for the parents or that is due process, they'll just throw your junk in the trash. We can ask Marty Lynch. I'll interview him. One of the guys Josh Barnett knows, we were trying to help people who were getting together. I was teaching one of the senators at the same time that other people were all trying to write statutes with the senators. And I told them, guys, I don't care how much statute you write. They don't have the power to do what they were doing in the first place. So writing statute is not fruitful and they're going to throw your junk in the trash. And you're going to look dumb after this whole year of planning. And that's exactly what happened. I think there was like 27 pieces of legislation by one guy, all thrown in the trash. Every other bit of legislation, all thrown in the trash, all just trying to protect the rights of parents to make sure they knew. So they're not writing what the parents should have as fairness. They're not teaching the government. They're not teaching the private entity that they're given permission to take your kids. They're not teaching the police. They're not teaching the sheriff. They're not teaching anybody else, the guardian ad litems, the attorneys, what your rights are. But they are teaching them that they can trample your rights, even knowing what the law is, as I told y'all in the guardian ad litem handbook. Let me know if this is becoming fire and smoke to y'all, so y'all see that they're really stealing kids and trampling rights on purpose. Now, let's go deeper. This statute is silent regarding any advance notice of plan change requests from other parties. So because they ain't writing in statute and the legislature is too dumb, I guess we just don't have to do it. Well, that don't work well when you have page 491 of Miranda versus Arizona, where Arizona tried to say, well, because the statute don't say that we have to read somebody their rights and do these certain things and provide procedural due process, we don't have to. And then the Supreme Court said, no, where rights secured in the Constitution are involved, there should be no rulemaking or legislation which will abrogate them. You can't write nothing to say you don't have to do this. And your absence of saying you don't have to do this is not a freaking excuse. Stop playing. So let's keep going. such as a child's guardian ad litem or a foster parent who may have been a party or be granted the right to attend and be heard at a permanency hearing. Watch this. Chief Judge Washington's confusion could reasonably extend to how trial court judges are supposed to adjudicate contested permanency plans. So this permanency plan decisions. So this proves, guys, that all this is a statutory system that is breaking the law, that's not following the Constitution. And then the judges who swear to follow the Constitution are too dumb to know that when these ignorant clowns tell you that you can just not do something or do something because no statute is there to tell you exactly how to do it, that you are not working in a judicial capacity. The legislature does not get to create rules for the court to function in a judicial court, meaning tell them how they use their jurisdiction, how that they cannot use the Constitution or bypass it. Now, if you can't bypass the Constitution, watch this. The district permanency hearing statute is silent as to the substantive standard, right? Dealing with your rights to be applied. So because they don't tell you what rights are to be applied, they're not just going to use it. Watch this. Which party bears the burden of proof? So guys, think about this. So you're in a CPS court, they stole your kids. The dumb judge don't know that the person who's stealing your kids saying that you did wrong. The person who stole your kids saying you did wrong, but never swore to the facts, never proved it anywhere in any court, as they said earlier, never had substantial evidence saying that you did anything. You didn't get a fair chance to bring witnesses like the common law. They never let you go against your accusers like you get in the common law of the Constitution. They bypassed everything in the Constitution, and this dumb judge is saying, well, they don't tell me what standard I'm supposed to use. What the freak you mean? The Constitution is mandatory. Y'all coming together, tripping out. You acting like you confused. You ain't confused, Mr. Judge. You got hired by the Neglected and Abuse Court and with the rest of the staff, and your anus is a clown, stealing kids, acting like you confused when you were just trafficking. You coward. That's really what happened. One element of District of Columbia permanency hearings procedure is clear. A trials court permanency plan's decision, no matter what procedural, substantive, or evidentiary objections a party may make, is not an appealable order. Holy moly. So you can't appeal it, guys, but everybody's telling you to go to appeal. So you go to appeal, which I did, I never did, and people laughed at me. You left your first case. It wasn't a case, clown. It was a legislative tribunal that did not go by the law. I ain't supposed to be here. I left and went to the court of record. Where you didn't go to appeals, screw an appeals. There is no such thing of an appeal. You just think it is. So while you talking dumb, I don't have to wait for you to get out of your ignorance for me to just go do the right thing. So you sit there and make a judgment about how dumb David Jose is. David Jose didn't finish up the first set of hearings. Yeah, David Jose withdrew from the dumb private administrative hearing, right? That's a whole bunch. All you did was get inside of a private association. You got trafficked into it and didn't know. And I'm going to explain that. Because there's really no judges in these cases. And this whole system is not ran by any court anywhere. They're all legislative tribunals that are getting they're getting a type of recommendation of what they should do from a private association. Now, some of y'all gonna look and say, no, David, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a liar. We know your case had to be legit because somebody said that. But right here, they're telling your anus, you can't appeal. So all you who clowning me, who went to your dumb appeals, going by the same dumb administrative rules, who looks dumb now? See, you attack people when you don't understand. You call people ignorant who try to share wisdom with you. I come out and show you what I'm saying. The people who are attacking you tell you what they are doing, but you want to trust in them so bad that you got to fight the person who brings you the truth. Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth, like the scriptures say? Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth? Guys, let me know if this is fire. Now I'm going to prove my point. The National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. Holy moly, who is that? Who is that? Guys, if y'all knew, the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges got 30,000 members and is the oldest membership association in America of this type and biggest. Let me read it again. The National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges, who are they? A membership organization. Oh, shucks, a private club is involved with this? Why are you telling me about them? I thought we were talking about court, the state, the federal. What the heck is going on here? What is this smoke and fire that this is talking about now? The National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges. Whoa, what if there was a group of judges that were mad at Trump because he was taking away their money, their power? What power and money are you talking about, Dave? Well, Dave, you trying to tell me these are not courts? You're a dummy. You're a dummy, Dave. Oh, okay. Oh, well, let's see then if a scholar tells you, right? If a man in a suit, right? A man in a costume comes and tell you, right? And he looks the part and he's straight cut with pretty hair and his complexion is good and his teeth are perfect and he can afford to go to law school. Let's see if he tells you if you believe him then. The National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges, a membership organization of courts handling abuse, neglect, juvenile delinquency, and other cases. Hold on, y'all. When David Jose says this is a private organization, a private membership association running your cases, people say this is sovereign citizen stuff. I'm laughing at Dave. He's dumb. He didn't even get his own kids back. I bet you I get them back. I bet you the nation tears this thing down now. I bet you after this smoke today, nobody's going to be able to deny what's going on. And I bet you this whole new group of people who I have, who are fighters all over the world, going to come bring that smoke now. I bet you. The National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges, a membership organizations of courts handling abuse, neglect, juvenile delinquency, and other cases, which provide quote unquote technical assistance to judges nationwide. Guys, didn't I show you on the judicial canons that the judges are not supposed to be part of political entities that could sway their judgment? Well, if nobody is teaching them constitutional rights and they're working with this National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges who never tell them to protect the people's constitutional rights, do the judges have a allegiance to some private association that's the biggest in the country, 30,000 members, who are taking kids and handling cases around the country, neglect, abuse, juvenile delinquency, and other cases? And if they are running courts that are technically different than the superior courts, as I showed you, and this is a situation where they took your kids without proof and evidence, but there's a national council that has all these members together, getting together, deciding how they're going to take your kids, but nobody's talking about the law, and the dumb court judges don't understand when they see that something ain't right. They don't understand that they bound themselves to be under the Constitution. I guess this is all good, right? Watch this. Has issued guidance for permanency hearings that echoes the law in the District of Columbia. Why are they taking a foreign nation, District of Columbia, and echoing this stuff to go all across the country? Because they know the American states are not bound by this legislature stuff in DC. But if y'all don't know, they ain't gonna tell you. So the federal legislature gets together and write a program to steal your kids for money. They then write in the first one, you can't steal kids for money. But then they know attorneys are smart, and over the years, they're going to start writing different laws. And then they're going to tell you without getting you to read the law that it gave them the permission to take your kid. They move your eyes away from the 1935 one, because when you look at the 1935 one, it's going to show that they can't take kids. And that's the original intent of the legislature, which means no extra laws or amendments they make after the fact can change the original intent. So it was never intended for them to have the power to take your kids. So then they make new statutes that get your mind off of the original legislative intent and then tell you that, oh, the courts have the power to take your kids. We just got to go by what they say. We just got to do their services. Knowing that they're all making money and they're all part of a private association that handle these cases. And nobody told you. Nobody told you. The council urges judges to make detailed written findings of facts of conclusions of law. Well, what does the Constitution tell them they must do? I don't give a freak about what you urge them. The Constitution says you can't take a kid without a trial by jury, due process of law, the jury of your peers, without a warrant, without probable cause, without somebody swearing under penalty of perjury that that something was done wrong, and they can't have lies and multiple stories that you admit to get your way. Anybody finding anything wrong with this yet? Or is this smoke for y'all yet? So guys, I want y'all to see that you are not dealing with a situation excuse me. Watch this. The council's guidance also includes no suggestion that permanency hearing rulings are subject to appeal. Who the freak is the council? And where does some private body of men get the emoluments, right? The advantages, the gain, and the benefit of being able to make a decision on when you can have your kid, or what could happen, or what happens with permanency? Where did this council get put in power by the people to freaking tell our servants, as they're part of this private organization that's a conflict of interest that makes money off of kids? How did they get the authority to tell you that you can bypass the Constitution? Watch this. Its guidance speaks of appeals from adoptions and terminations of parental rights, but not appeals of permanency hearing decisions. So who the freak died and left the council in charge? Why are our government officials partnering with private associations to make decisions over what rights the people have? Why are they able to make money off of taking your kids? Why do they get to lie to take your kids? Still guessing, you said a citizen waives rights to get a driver's license. Let me help you understand something. As one of the people, the government is a trustee and has power to protect and maintain your individual rights. Let me help you understand something. There's a lot of sorry clowns going around in the law world that say, and I don't want to call them sorry, what they're saying is sorry. Yes, he did. I pray you get your children back. Thank you. Let me help you understand something. If somebody makes a promise to be a trustee and to protect and maintain your individual rights, and that's their purpose for being created, the trustee has trust power over making sure that your rights are protected. That means that nobody can attack them. So the trustee, who has the oath to protect your rights, goes and makes a partnership in the private with the federal and an entity that's a private association that handles cases that are neglect and abuse cases. And then they don't give you full disclosure that they're trafficking you into a case that's with a private entity, not government. The private entity cannot make decisions about your life. And the judge contracting with the private entity as a trustee is now in direct conflict with the Constitution, because your enemy, the CPS worker, is an adversarial party in a case. The judge is your trustee over your individual rights. The CPS worker is trying to sever your rights. The judge swears to protect and maintain your rights and property. The CPS worker who he partners with in that program is your adversary. The Bible tells you your adversary is the devil. The Constitution says that if anybody is working with the people's enemy, giving them aid and comfort, helping them, it is what is called treason. So the trustee, the government who swore oath to protect the people's rights, also has a backdoor contract with the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges or other entities, and are working together to steal your kids in a private federal program where they make money, and they didn't tell everybody they're taking your Social Security money for it. So what's happening is everybody who is in government as members of that private entity become private and contract with other private entities to take your kids from you in the name of the state, when the people are the state. So the people are the state, and they're claiming that the private entity, all working together as a team, are taking your rights away. But as private people, you have no power to take away rights. You have to be a jury of their peers. So when you try to say, I had the right to take their kids and I proved that they did harm, and every one of these people are crazy, they just didn't do right by their kids, that's why they got their kid taken. Now we know that you never proved it. And driver's license has nothing to do with a private entity and government colluding together to take your kids and bypass the Constitution. Sir, let me help you understand. Virginia Constitution tells you that that the government is here to benefit the people, nation, or community. That is in their Bill of Rights, the third division, number 3. Now, when you understand that they're here to benefit you, if they tell you we gave you the benefit of having a license when you drive, therefore that allows us to take your kids because you are a citizen, I'm going to have to tell you that's false. Because when you walk your behind in that courtroom and they see one of the people there, they're going to have to understand that's one of the people and they don't want me to have their kids and they never took their kids with a warrant in the first place. Therefore, they bypass the due process of law. We better hurry up and get these kids back before we go to prison. But no, they won't go to prison because not enough people knew what I'm showing y'all right now. Now they're going to go to prison. Watch, at an accelerated rate. So because nobody knew that they were trafficking and taking the kids, nobody was able to deal with the issue. Therefore, they got together under a private program. We're running cases as a scam, taking your kids, and you thought you were in court. So when I get the silly lady who's connected to my enemy's friend yesterday, she said, oh, David, you were in court and the court document said this. I'm like, man, prove that there were court documents there. She think I'm dumb. Man, prove that there was court documents. Who swear to something? I dare you. Go get the case. You're working with the attorneys and agents. Go get the information and prove what got proven that anybody swore to at any time. Since you bad. Show me. It get real silent. See, guys, they're threatening you to take your kids if you don't get a vaccine, if you don't do this, you don't do that, whatever, right? But the truth is this whole process has been a scam. And they've been doing trial-like hearings, making you think you were in a trial. It was just administrative business by a private agency. Private entity that's working in a federal partnership to make money. They have no authority to take your kids without your permission. Unless you just kill somebody and they're like, oh, shucks, there's no family for us to drop these kids off with. We got to take them in. That's different. But if there's parents and family there, they don't get to scrutinize your family and say, well, you too old. You don't make enough money. You too ugly. Or they get to have sex with you first to give you the kids. Guys, I don't care if you got a driver's license, a passport. A passport is a commercial term, y'all. A passport is the permission to pass the port. Every man has liberty interest to go and come as long as the nation he's going to will accept him. Just like a house, you got a right to travel around the state. You only have the right to go in a man's house if he gives you permission. That's common law. So guys, what do they mean they're terminating rights? What do they mean they are terminating rights? The legislature told them that they can terminate your rights. But the legislature don't write common law. And the common law says that you have rights that's guaranteed in the Constitution. And they say this: constitutional right, a right guaranteed to the citizen by the Constitution, like liberty. Liberty is having your kids. And so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference therewith. So the legislature can't even write a law to go against your rights. Do the legislature give you rights in the Constitution or common law rights? Right derivative, what's a common right? Right derivative from common law. Right peculiar to certain people is not a common right. If the legislature can tell certain people they can have their kids, and certain other people that they can't. That's not a common right. The Constitution says you have liberty, which means over your kids too. If you don't believe me, go look up the Troxel versus Granville case in 2000. You'll see the judge said children are not a mere creature of the state. The state did not create children, as in people. So you can't take that piece of paper called a birth certificate that you got power over and say that that's you got power over the physical flesh and blood kid, because the physical and flesh and blood kid belongs to the parents. Now, some people gonna say, well, the legislature created common law that said we could take kids. As distinguished from law created by the enactment of legislature, right? So the legislature don't create no dang common law. So let's stop playing. I ain't even got to finish the dang definition. So guys, people want to tell you that they can take your kids, adopt out your kids, do whatever they want to do because these people are the government. But y'all realize now, these people are not the government. Y'all, I'm gonna take y'all to some maxims of law so y'all can see some even bigger smoke. Let me get y'all some more smoke. Now, I'm just gonna show you what these people are really doing so y'all can get some real smoke. Individual liberties. This is from the maxims of law. Basic understanding of law that nobody can deny because it's universally accepted already. 51I. Individual, this is from Weiserman's work, I think his name is. Individual liberties are antecedent to all government. Before governments could even exist, you have individual liberties. So the government can't take them away. Can't take them away. But they'll say, it's been too long that people's kids were gone. We can't do anything anymore. The statute of limitation is up, even though we know it was fraud and we know that they stole the kids and there was no jurisdiction to do it. Lapse of time does not bar the Commonwealth. When the people find out you stole their freaking kids, your anus is done and they're going to get them back. That's why I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. We coming as the people with the law on a piece of paper. With grand juries, we're going to take it all back. You're going to return those kids. The main object, 51P of government, is the protection and preservation of personal rights. Your personal rights are your freaking access to your kids, their care, custody, and control, private property, and public liberties, and upholding the law of God. The law of God didn't tell them to take your kids. That's an American maxim. They want you to believe nobody believed in God. Don't fall for that. 51Q, a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. See, why are they taking your kids and doing all this stuff? And why do we give them notice? Because we forgot what the law was and they're doing all this stuff and saying they don't understand. Don't you understand the dumb judge is saying, I don't get it. I don't understand why they took those people's rights. I mean, I would have thought they should have had to give them notice, but I guess I'm wrong. The statute didn't say so. That's what I'm following. I'm not acting as a judge right now. I'm just doing whatever the statute says. Legislative tribunal, y'all. The legislature tells them to run your rights over. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles and a firm adherence to justice, virtue, and original law. Why does Dave do notices to show what the Constitution says that made up the state? That's so dumb. Why would he take us to some original law when we got all these other statutes that the brilliant attorneys tell us can rape us and kill us? I think we should follow the dumb attorneys because they got a suit on and they went to law school. Oh, okay. Original law. How many attorneys are showing y'all original law? Did any attorney that y'all dealt with show you the 1935 Social Security Act? I think not. And are indispensably necessary. Putting them on notice often about fundamental principles of law, original law, justice, and virtue is indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and a good government. So those who created this government, who knew what it takes to keep good government, who held good government for all up to just 100 years ago, knew these things. And then when I come and tell you how to get it back with Josh Barnett, the Affidavit Mamas, and others, Josue Lugo and Sharon Yu, and all these powerful people around the nation, Celestial, right? When I come try to show you that giving them notice will change the atmosphere, people say stuff to me like, David, you sound so dumb. You're just a conspiracy theorist who believes that the government is going to listen to your notice and it'll change something. Silly. The reason they're taking your kids and running game on y'all is because you didn't know, me included. So the way to deal with it is to let everybody know so they can no longer cheat and hide in the dark. Why does that seem like such a difficult concept? God has simple things destroy the sophisticated. The meek destroy the so-called wise. 51R. Let me help you understand why these kids are coming back, and I'm going to prove it to y'all with remedy. As usurpation is the exercise of power, which another has a right to, like having your kids, they usurped the authority of being a parent and took your kids and lied to you. So tyranny is the exercise of power beyond right, which nobody can have a right to. Guys, where did they get the right to take your kids? Where did they get that right? I mean, because God says in Psalm 127:3 that children are heritage from the Lord. God gave them to you as a heritage, belonging to you exclusively. Here's the maxims of law. Coke. 58S. Children are the blood of their parents, but the father and mother are not the blood of their children. So children are blood of your blood and flesh of your flesh. Under the common law, they are part and parcel to you. How in the world did they run game and say they could take your kids when they didn't have authority to do so? See, they never proved that you did anything wrong in the first place, and CPS, private entity who's making money, is trying to come into a legislative tribunal and say you harmed them and they get to take your kids. Well, guys, if you so-called harm them, they should be able to prove that they've been harmed or there's no cause of action. And I got to say his name now. This silly kid, Michael, running around talking about show me some cough numbers. He can't even say cause straight. Show me some cough numbers. Trying to talk about case numbers. Case and cause from the Bible means the same thing. Show me your case. Show me your cause for doing this. This silly boy is going around saying to people, I need to look in your case and see your cause number and work with my attorney friend, Artie. So therefore, I might verify if you really won your case or lost your case or what happened in it. Silly boy. There is no such thing of an action if nobody proved anybody did wrong or they are injured. So when these people admit that they purposely put together cases whereby nobody verifies any truth, the caseworker in my case told y'all she don't verify. She also got in trouble by a judge for fabricating evidence. So in my case, when there's 5 stories and you give me one and you got to hide the other 4, and then I find the other one without your help and bring it to you and you say, whoa, shucks, where'd you get that from? And then you change the case to make the report now the second one and hide the first and still hide 3 more where you wore a wire and found out my accuser was lying. So when you find out the person is lying, to make sure you get my kids, you hide it because it's not fluid. So you don't want to let the world know what you did or the court know what you did, even though it's not a court. What you do is you just hide the evidence. And then when I show you new evidence that says, hey, you lied to me, you just switch to the new one, hide the old one, and just think all is good. And then I take all your garbage and put it all in the Supreme Court of Arizona so everybody can see it. Because the Supreme Court of Arizona, even though they were cheating with these people, have to be a court of record. And a court of record must move according to the common law. So the Supreme Court of Arizona committed treason when they blocked my ability to have the guy who worked for the head of CPS to come out and answer, did he take my kid without law? They thought that they were going to get him off the hook and didn't realize, no, dum-dum. He's sitting in your court. I'm sorry, this document is sitting in your court for all to see forever. And now I'm showing the world that all y'all work together in a private association to traffic kids. You thought you had everybody fooled. You thought you could just seal up everybody's case and charge them $5,000, $10,000 to get access to it, or the judge just say no. And you were going to run. But 59W says an action, that's a court action, is not given to one who is not injured. So CPS wasn't injured. CPS was making money off the program. They don't have to tell the truth. They can make up evidence. They can use hearsay. They lie. They never verified anything. But we got so-called teachers of law who don't really study, running around telling people, we need to go look in David's case and look at cost numbers. And when we look at the cost numbers, we're gonna tell how David is dumb and how David Straight is dumb. We're not gonna go read the laws to see if David Jose is telling the truth. We're gonna just get to in front of a whole bunch of parents and just make videos saying David Jose don't know what he's talking about. Excuse me. We gonna just make laws. I'm sorry, we're gonna just make people believe that David Jose don't know what he's talking about. And then people who don't know the law and haven't studied this much are going to run around and just say, oh, this guy can't know the law because he didn't get his kid back. Can you show me anybody who's shown you this much before? See, guys, you lose your right, they say, to your kid, but they make money in the neglect and abuse court. Let's look at 61A of this Maximum Law book. No one ought to be enriched by another's loss. Let me know if this is fire, y'all. No one should be enriched by another's loss. They said if they want to get the money, they have to take the kids from the parent. That's a loss. They have to adopt them out. That's a loss. They have to stop them from having access to them. That's a loss. No one ought to be enriched by another's loss. So how are they coming together doing a program, taking your kids, causing you a loss of rights and access to them, and make money for it? They showed y'all they're doing this for revenue purpose. So the more kids they get, the more they get enriched. Wow. You ever wonder why the American Trucker Association, I believe it was, will pay $25,000 to be a sponsor at the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges events? Why in the world is a trucking entity paying for a juvenile entity to deal with kids, their events? Let me know if this is fire, y'all, and this is smoke, and this is making sense to you. I'm a nothing and a nobody, y'all, but God is good. So I'm happy that I suffered through the things that I suffered through. Why am I happy? I'm happy because I get to show you the truth. I'm happy because I get to show people what's really happening behind the scenes. I'm happy because God has used me to show y'all the freaking truth. They told y'all in multiple occasions in that scholarly report that they are getting money, and if they want to get the money, they got to do this for the federal government. So they got transactions going on between each other. 61J, transactions between strangers. Once again, transactions between strangers may benefit. They can make some money. They can handle business. but cannot injure those who are not parties to them. Y'all realize y'all not party to the CPS, federal private entity, and the federal program and the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges. You're not parties to their contracts. So if you're not parties to their contracts, how are they injuring you, taking your kids, making you go to their courts when they have never proved in a court of law that you have done wrong? Nobody ever swore to the fact that you really hurt your kids. But they're making judgments about where your freaking kids go. And you got clowns in the law movement running around talking about well, they had a right to make a decision over you because they were a judge. You were in court. The freak you talking about? The freak are you talking about? Don't come at me with that foolishness, because we will seriously bring smoke on what it is that you're teaching. 64A, judgment and decision. A judgment given by one who is not the proper judge is of no force and should not harm anyone. They made a judgment in a CPS court to take your kids when there was no due process of law. This guy is proving that there was no due process of law in all of your cases, pretty much, unless you kill somebody or rape somebody or did some stupid junk. If your anus ain't in jail, then pretty much what they did is some bull crap and they stole your kids and you can get them back. There is no judgment that ever happened is null and void when they were not a proper judge. The proper judge to take your life and liberty from you is a jury of your peers based on the Constitution. If a jury of your peers using the common law with your kids taken with the warrant because you did something wrong and somebody swore and it was probable cause at the same time, they arrested your anus right there. If they took your kid with any other way, there was not a proper judge, because the judge is to be the people, the jury, the judgment of his peers. That dude in the CPS court acting without authority never made a judgment to take your kids. They tricked you. They stole your kids, homie. They stole your kids, young lady, young man, sir, ma'am. They stole your kids. Now, I enjoy giving y'all smoke and bringing y'all the truth. I enjoy the fact that God let me suffer to be able to do this for you. And I enjoy the fact that people laugh at me and say, David Jose, you're a bunch of garbage because you didn't get your kids back yet. How did you help all these other people? Because God let me keep growing and understand this. When I send this to government officials, they almost poop a brick, crap their pants, and fall out with, it's worse than if they got one of those shots. They fall out in the middle of the field because they realize, how the freak did somebody figure out everything we were doing and show us what's happening? And guys, they were doing this as private actors. They weren't acting in a government capacity, because if there's no delegation of authority given by the Constitution for them to be able to do this, then they actually did it on their own in the private and just trampled your rights, acting as if they were government. Because when the judge is in a private capacity in a federal program, he's not a judge. So therefore, everything he tricked you with and made you look like was a judgment was not a judgment. And when they took your kids and put them in another family's home and they got paid for it, you cannot injure another with justice. So when they took your kid, never proved it, never had anybody swear, used allegations, never let you get your testimony out for real in a court of record with a jury of your peers using the common law, not these dumb statutes and codes made by the legislature who are making money, they tricked you. Now, I got enemies, guys, who make fun. David, you ain't got your kids back yet. I bet you I get them. I bet you CPS around the country gonna hear about this and go crazy. I bet you government officials around the nation are going to hear this video and quake. By God. The Spirit of God is powerful. God is mighty. And God's enemies, those who oppress the people, the poor, the innocent, God stands up for his people. So when these wicked people come together and have an evil cause against you, which there's no justification for, that they're making money on, gets real, real, real deep. So people try to tell you I'm stupid. People try to tell you I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not showing you the real law, but I guarantee you no attorney has shown any of you guys all of this at one time. And if I'm lying, please let me know. Let me know if you have ever experienced in your life, because notice this video is for free. I don't charge people stuff for CPS stuff so people can fight to win their kids. But I bet you thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of kids are going to come back home based on this video and the notices that could be done right after. I guarantee you that there is nobody in the entire nation or world who can argue with what I just showed. Nobody. No attorney or no judge wants to speak openly about this. They're going to be mad at me. They may want to kill me. They may want to do other stuff, but there's no attorney or no judge that's going to come out and deal with this smoke that came from God. And I'm thankful I had to suffer because I get to show all of you this. And God loves you enough for you to have your kids back where they stole them. God wants everybody to be free, those in prison houses because they broke the law to be free. So I'm going to let y'all know that this is what it's about. God gets the victory and the glory because there is nobody else who can show you this. Nobody else did. Now, there's a lot of people who show other stuff in law, but nobody else showed you this. So for those of you who are broken, crying, hurt over your children, don't be sad. God can bring them back. See, the biggest thing that happened in the CPS world is a lot of y'all got the belief that you got to take care of your own case, worry about yourself. And I heard it time after time. Well, I'm going to just worry about my own case. I don't give a darn. I ain't got to worry about nobody else. This is my life. I'm going to do it my way. And I'll get my kids back because I got all the evidence in the world that this is what most people tell me. I got all the evidence in the world that I got the worst case in history. I got all the fraud in my case. I'm like, you realize they did that to all of us, right? No. I got the most evidence that I can prove more than everybody else. And I'm going to just do my own case and then I'll come and deal with everybody else. I ain't got time for y'all. Yeah, and then they sever your rights in your eyes. And then they make you look like a crazy person who lost your case. And then they can always say, you know, this is just a disgruntled parent. That's all. Because all y'all don't come together at once. You sit there and you listen to haters online who work with the government. There's a group of 2,000 people who help protect Epstein that is fighting against everybody who teaches against CPS. They have made articles about us. You know who fight? They say that we're bad guys. We did this, we did wrong. They're going inside of the case portals, coming out with all types of bull. None of them will ever show you this. None of them ever show you this. But when I tell y'all, I know my life could be on the line. I know that God has given me a purpose to help you guys see the truth. I had to try to bring y'all together, and it took God to give me a whole group of people with election issues and stuff like that ain't got no kid problems, where God built an army of people so big who just care about the law and protect and take care of each other, because the CPS world has been abused, wrecked, and ran down so bad that you can't understand if somebody loves you enough to tell you what the law says for free. You got people fighting each other, agents going against the people who tell the truth. And I'm revealing real law to y'all, and most of these people never wanted you to see it. And you should be able to realize now that this is why people want to kill me. Because I know about what 30,000 people are doing as judges and attorneys across the nation. Trump didn't even know. Trump making an executive order to fight CPS and don't know who the freak he messing with. They're like, how come Trump can't get a case in court, man? He losing everything. First reason might be that they are part of the same system that he just made an executive order to take kids, stop them from taking kids unnecessarily. So now y'all see why I work so hard to make sure there's no negativity in my groups, why I want you to study affidavit class and learn the truth about affidavits and notices and stuff like that so you don't believe in foolishness. And I want you to know about the common law so you don't get tricked. Because I'm sitting here all day. Notice ain't one, there's attorneys and judges watching this right now, y'all. There's FBI agents watching right now. Notice ain't one of them come try to debate anything I said. I even gave pre-notice that I'm coming on today and I want somebody to come bring that smoke at me. I'm pretty sure Artie is watching at work right now with his punk behind. the attorney from the East Coast. But why ain't none of them come on here and try to debate or say that I'm wrong? See, because they understand that God has allowed me to come with scholarly resources in their own documents showing their fraud. How do you argue with that? Just call me dumb, call me ugly, say I'm a nobody, say he lost his case. Well, it wasn't really a case. But you can say that. That's cute. It doesn't hurt my feelings because I know that nobody proves anything in the court. And this guy just told y'all. So guys, let me know if this is smoke and fire. Let me know. It's been 3 hours and 10 minutes of David promising that he is going to prove that this was a scam, a trafficking system in front of everybody, offering for any of my enemies to come tell me I'm lying. And they're cowards. They don't want none of this smoke. Cowards. So I'm letting you guys know that God wanted y'all to know the truth too. This is why I can't have my kids back yet, because we need to unravel this fraud system that they've been putting together and using against people for years. My kids have the value of your kids. It's not fair for me to have mine and y'all don't know the truth to save yours. God is a good God. God knows how to take people who he has raised up, who got the faith in him to handle something like this, and use that to take care of all the people who are crying and broken. The Bible tells you that God will make the law right. The Bible tells you that God will raise somebody up to get those who are stuck in prison houses out and to restore that which was taken away. Some people don't believe in God. I hope my share is on, my screen share. Yes, it is. I want y'all to look at this again. I showed it the other day from Isaiah 49, verse 5. And now, said the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength. See, God has given me this. Ain't no man gonna be able to study and learn all this stuff. I'm a freaking business guy and a car guy. I like driving fast cars. I don't look at the dang law like that before this happened. And he said, what did God say? It is a light thing. It's easy work, like the Mayweathers say. This is lightweight stuff. It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. God is so good. He already thought all the way to the end of the earth. See, God breaks down these haughty servants. How? Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, to whom the nations abhor, to a servant of rulers. Kings shall see and arise. See, people going to despise you and hate on you when God uses you because they don't have the wisdom to see God is using you. So the same dumb stuff they are saying about you and hating you over is the same stuff that God is going to use to give you victory. They just not wise enough to see it yet. So when they laugh at you, be happy, knowing that your deliverance is near. Because the very thing that they're too foolish to understand, God uses to bring victory. Kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because the Lord that is faithful and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee. God is able to choose you out of a lot of people and do the unthinkable. And he's going to deal with stuff on his time. And they're going to say, well, David, if you think you can help people and you're really smart and you know the law, you got to prove to me, who's not smart and don't know the law, that you won already. Because David, if you didn't get your kids back yet, how are you going to help anybody else? Yet, what does yet deal with? Yet deals with time. Here's what God says. Thus saith the Lord, in an acceptable time have I heard thee. Wait, God, you got a time that's acceptable? You don't work on my time and everybody else's time? You gonna do it the way you want to do it? Oh, okay. Well, I'm cool then, God. I'm gonna chill. I'm not tripping. David, you didn't get your kids back? No, not yet, but I will. David, you ain't mad that you ain't got your kids. How you gonna teach somebody else if you ain't got your kids back yet? And in a day of salvation have I helped thee. It's gonna be on God's time. But guess what, David? Why aren't you in jail? Why aren't you in prison? Dave, the FBI was supposed to be coming after you for 3 years. The trafficker said in the groups about you who work with attorneys. David, they want to kill you. You should be dead by now. Yeah, whoop-de-doo, fine. Why is it fine? Because God says, and I will preserve thee. You wondering why they couldn't kill me? You know they want to destroy me for getting all this stuff out. You know they want to say something and do something, but God says, I will preserve thee. Yeah, it don't make sense that I've been preserved at all. Watch this. And give thee for a covenant of the people to establish the earth to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. Now, God just explained why he don't give you what he wants when you want it, when you work with him, because he already chose the acceptable time. And the reason he did that is because he already has a day of salvation. He helped you. He already prepared it. He's going to preserve you in the process. Nobody can understand why you didn't die or fall apart. It's because of him. And then he says, the reason I did that was because I'm giving you for a covenant to the people to establish the earth because stuff has been wrong. And I'm trying to cause to inherit the desolate heritages, plural. Children are a heritage from the Lord. So God give a heritage to every family. God is saying, hey, wait. There's a whole bunch of desolate heritages that have been lost because people have been stealing people's family. So God raises up somebody who he preserves when they want to destroy them. He helps them and makes the time for their acceptable time, but he's trying to get everybody to get all of their desolations back, all of their family members back. You see how that works? That's why I don't need to stress. 9, that thou mayest say to the person. So people, when I came into the CPS movement, this is what they did. They said, David, you're so dumb. You're sitting up here reading the Bible, telling people that kids will come back. No kids will ever come back. It's been going on like this for too long. Everything is bad. The roads are not made straight. Everything is crooked. You can never do this. No judges will ever get in trouble. No judges will ever get put in jail. It's always going to just be so bad. Number 9, that thou mayest say, that the person who works for God might say to the prisoners, go forth. Hey, it's time to get out. To them that are in darkness, show yourselves. Hey, show yourself, man. Smile. You out of this jail. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastors shall be in the high places. Number 10, they shall not hunger nor thirst. God can provide for them. Neither shall the heat or sun smite them, for he hath mercy on them. He that hath mercy on them shall lead them. Even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and a highway shall be exalted. God is going to raise up a way for the people to help the ones who've been done wrong in order so that they can be free at the same time that he frees the one who he raised up to free them. Wow, what a concept. Maybe I shouldn't be worried about my own kids when God says he's dealt with this before. People broke the law, and now he's going to raise up somebody to fix it, teach them stuff that nobody ever knew in their generation, help them to deal with all these things, preserve them when people want to kill them for fixing it. And then he's going to give everybody's kids back, maybe. Let's see, 13. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains, for the Lord hath comforted his people. God planned on comforting everybody, except for the ones who stole the kids and put the people in prison unlawfully, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, the Lord hath forsaken me. See, some of the people are going to say, the Lord forgot about me. He forsaken me. And Lord hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her sucking child that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. God ain't forgetting us, but let's get deeper. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continuous before me. God watching out for you. Watch this. Thy children shall make haste. They're going to come back to you quick. Thy destroyers and they that made waste shall go forth of thee. They're going to be trying to take off. Lift up thy eyes around about. Look around, y'all. And behold, all these gather themselves together and come to thee as I live, said the Lord. Thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all as with a ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. God gonna bring them all back. For thy waste and thy desolate places, everywhere it got destroyed, your desolate places, how they stole your heritages, the land of thy destruction shall even be now too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed thee up shall be far away. God gonna put you in a safe place. Let's go deeper. Thou children which thou shalt have, after thou hast lost the other, God will even bless you with more kids after you lose kids. That's deep. Shall say again in thine ears, the place is too straight for me. Give place for me that I may dwell. 21. Then shalt thou sayest in thine heart, who hath begotten me these? Who gave me these beautiful kids? Seeing I have lost my children. Oh, somebody stole your other kids? And I'm desolate. You ain't got them no more? A captive. They're binding you because they took your kids and removing to and fro. God got to keep you safe and keep you out of their view. And who hath brought up these? Where in the world these come from? Behold, I was left alone. These, where have they been? Had they been? 22. Thus said the Lord God, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people. And they shall bring thy sons. Oh, your son's going to come back? Oh, okay, cool. Sons and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. Guys, I know these kids are coming back. The people in government about to fall on their freaking face because y'all about to bring smoke. Y'all gonna show the truth all over. Watch this. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee. They gonna bow down when they find out y'all know the truth and God made it straight. And I'm sorry, thee with their face toward the earth and lick up the dust of thy feet. And see, they gonna want mercy from y'all now because y'all realize the scam, and everybody in the nation gonna hear this because of y'all. God is gonna let y'all tell everybody. And once everybody knows, the government officials gonna know their back is to the wall. They gonna bow down and try to lick the dust of your feet. That's what's gonna happen. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord. God is letting you see this before he does it. Now let's see what's gonna happen. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. They're like, David, why you think your kids gonna come? They ain't come yesterday. They ain't come last week. Okay, just wait. Just wait. Isaiah 49. We're at verse 23. Now, guys, they used a fake law and called it lawful to make captives and steal people's kids back in this day, just like they're doing now. And I just proved to you they did it. Watch this. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty? So back then they had mighty people who were over the governments, who were super powerful, had money, wealth, power, status, and they were the mighty, just like today. So people say, well, look, the king got millions of chariots and he got all this power and he wants to take people's kids and put people in prison. At the same time, people got guns and all types of stuff today, stealing people's kids and putting people in prison. No difference. They were mightier than the people who God used to fight back in the day. They are mightier than the people God used to fight on their own strength today. I'm not as strong as all the men in the world put together. So he says, shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus said the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away. The ones they took unlawfully going to be taken away and given back. And the prey of the terrible, those who they preyed on and stole their kids and their relatives without telling them that they were breaking the law, God is about to fix it. And the prey of the terrible shall be delivered, for I, God, I will contend with him that contendeth with thee. Those who fight against you, who's standing up against this, God will contend with them who contend with thee. And he says, and I will save thy children. Funny how we've seen this before. Now let's go deeper. Watch this. And I will feed them that oppress thee their own flesh. See, God is saying these people committed treason. God is saying these people should eat their own flesh, meaning God believes they should die. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I believe what God says is true. I would like to see people repent and give the kids back. And if they go to jail, they go to jail. I don't want to see people die. But now the whole nation can know what these people have done. And this is what God says. And I will feed them that oppress thee. See, if they're stealing your kids unlawfully, we know that's oppression. With their own flesh. And they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. So guys, with that, I am done showing you guys PCAPs for this video. I just let you guys see in their own words and proved, let me know if I did or didn't, prove that they are trafficking kids by removing kids from their families without proof, without law, without the Constitution. The judges are not learning law, the Constitution. They are making money. The attorneys, the judges usually are part of the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges. You guys can see there was a video I did in DC at a library. I asked the question. There was a woman behind me named Connie. I said, who here knows of the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges? She raised her hands like this. She is the one who people report helped Clinton make the law to take kids. She knows very well who the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges are, but I've never seen her in videos before me going on and telling everybody a private entity was working in the trafficking of their kids. Yes, she's supposed to be the #1 attorney for juvenile. Got 13,000 people in her group trying to find answers of how to deal with their kids who were stolen. And never told them that the original law said you can't take kids. Now, if somebody did arrest you for showing the law, that would be criminal. And I wouldn't say that that would be something where people would go around and say, oh, you got arrested in your court case because you put something in that was the truth. That's dumb to me. But guys, you let me know if it was smoke, if it made sense to you. If it did, I would pray that you would share this all over the nation. You would let everybody see it and you would tell them about the crazy smoke you just saw. Because it ain't nowhere else to see this. This is God's work. God's doing. I couldn't do it myself. Don't even give me the credit for it. I'm a nothing and a nobody. God had to put some junk like this together because y'all know y'all just got hit with some heavy smoke. When y'all worried about them taking y'all kids over that shot, y'all worried about them taking kids over not having a mask on or a passport or some other bull, right? Or you not wanting to raise your little ones a certain way. You don't want them to learn, you know, this stupid racism theory, critical race theory. Guys, this is our nation. It belongs to us. And the law says that we are to regulate our government. And we have not been doing it. We've been allowing people to come together and rate statutes based on attorneys. And attorneys have come together and found tricky ways to steal your kids without law. And they got a 30,000 member group that's part of it. And judges all over America have been taking part in this. And they don't want people to find out what they've been doing. They can't stand to this. None of them are going to come and share. Now, KC, I saw you in a group where a hater was making a claim about me not knowing the law and mad and saying I was mad I can't get my own kids back. But KC, I want to ask you, can you see now where I'm showing remedy, where I show the truth and how they stole the kids in the first place without law? Please let me know if that person was utterly ignorant in what they were saying about you got court records and all this and you just lost your kids. Is that really what the case is? Everybody, please let me know. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys have this day. I want to wish you a happy Friday. I don't celebrate the 25th day, so don't send me a message saying David married that day, because that day is a day that was celebrated in the Bible to a false god. And that false god's name was Nimrod. It is Baal worship. If you look at Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1-5, King James Version, you might get mad at me for showing you this. God did not say don't celebrate the day. God said something that is even much more broad. God said, do not even learn the ways of the heathen. So if God tells you not to learn these ways and you're doing this, it'll make God upset. Don't get mad at me for telling you. I'm just telling you the truth. I love you enough to tell you the truth. You might do it because you want to do it. but I want you to know that you ain't doing what God said. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1 through 5. If you get through those 5 verses in the King James Version of the Bible, you don't know what they is talking about and what practices they're doing that God said don't do, then I can't help you. But when you read it, your knees might quake if you fear God. Now, guys, other than that, I brought this truth to you so we can all have our kids back. We're going to have our kids back, guys. We're going to have joy, and they're going to stop trying to take our kids. And we're all going to give notice to the legislature, if the Lord wills, to show them that we know what's happening. We're no longer playing the game. The jig is up. God has brought that truth for us. Yes, Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1 through 5, King James Version. All right, guys. So I want to thank you guys for this time. I want to thank you for your love and care. I want to thank you guys for paying attention so well. It's been 3 hours and 30 minutes. Free. A lot of people complain about different things, but nobody else is going to teach you this 3 hours and 30 minutes on a Friday when they could be going out eating some food or doing something fun to deal with stuff in your own life and your own case. I vow to the people all across the country that I'll show you what God showed me as the truth, and nobody gonna deny it. There isn't somebody bad enough that's gonna come on here and say that I'm lying. They might come after and say, I don't believe that. These are just words. They're gonna try to just say something stupid, but they dang sure ain't wanna come on. They got mad respect when we're on these shows. They don't come on talking that dumb junk too much. They don't want that smoke like that. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for everything. This video is now yours. I'm going to wish you guys well. I love the heck out of y'all. Y'all stay out of trouble. Y'all can get rid of the system everywhere if we do notice. We need to show Congress what we have as evidence, and we need to dare them to say that we're not telling the truth, and we need to let everybody in the country know. Y'all should be telling everybody. Y'all should be sharing this with at least 30 people. Make a list of people you know. Let them see it. Let them know that this is very important stuff that they need to understand that's going on in America right now, so you guys can stop kids from being taken, trafficked, and all that. Now, I got one other thing I need to show. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I did not mean to have to go back to this, but I want to show you this report. Just so y'all know. I might have showed you already, but just in case I didn't. So this is an article from the Free Thought Project, and it says, chilling NCMEC, that's a federal agency, report shows 88% of missing sex trafficked kids come from the U.S. foster care system. That was in June 12, 2018. Now, you can look here. This came out a little bit after we put Trump's people on notice and let them know what was up. And there was a beautiful man named Dwight Mitchell who came out and told some of the things that were being done, and people were coming out and telling when people were more together. Here's what it says. As TFTP reported last week, a parents' rights organization filed a letter in federal court last Tuesday asking a federal judge to strike down Minnesota's current child protection laws for being too expansive and removing children from loving and safe homes without due process. So guys, this beautiful man, Dwight Mitchell, was another brother who came out and tried to do a court case a long time ago. And he told about how they're doing legal kidnapping. Well, guys, I let y'all know with the real law that there's no point in us going to the courts begging them to do something they're all taking part in with 30,000 members. Oh, it didn't come up on the screen? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me fix this. That's my bad, y'all. Let me look again. Okay, so now it's getting ready to pop up. It's up on my screen. It's going to take you about 10 seconds. So let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, okay, a little bit over 10 seconds. And there it is. You're going to see it pop up. So there's a delay of about 10 seconds. So here's the picture again. Here it is. Matt Agarist, June 12, 2018, did the article. Chilling NCMEC report shows 88% of missing sex trafficked kids come from U.S. foster care. So the kids that's running around missing are from the foster care system. They've been taking our kids without law and losing them to traffickers. Wow. So they get to lose kids to traffickers and put kids' lives in danger. But if we got Cheerios on the floor, they could take our kids with assumptions, presumptions, and stuff that's never been proven. They'll go and have a whole year of arguments, wasting your freaking time, interrupting with your job, stopping people's careers and livelihoods in order to argue about stuff that they never proved in the first place. But watch this. As TFT reported last week, TFTP, a parents' rights organization filed a letter in federal court last Tuesday asking a federal judge to strike down Minnesota's current child protection laws for being too expensive and removing children from loving and safe homes without due process. Now, I just proved to y'all that there was no due process. So every time you go to a court and try to ask them to help you before you teach everybody the law, you're just wasting your time because they will block you all day and night. Now, this was a good man who did this. Watch this. His name is Dwight Mitchell. He said families are being abused, in some cases destroyed, as a result of laws that are inappropriate, which I just proved to y'all, but nobody knew, said Dwight Mitchell, the lead plaintiff in the case and the founder of the Parents Association. This is legal kidnapping. And he is right. But guys, the courts can kick his junk out all day, just like they did with the audits. This is why attorneys who tried to get audits all day or night could not get them. And then I was able to go with Josh Barnett and do it a different way. And we're the only ones in America who had an audit. Is that happenstance? The thing I realized is that the people didn't know they had a right to get an audit. Therefore, the legislature could just act like they didn't know until the people knew the laws. Dwight Mitchell did an amazing thing by going into the court and trying to get them to strike down the system. The court wouldn't do it because they're making money. So why did it fail? Not because he wasn't telling the truth, because nobody came together with enough people and taught the truth like this over and over and over again. So people get it for free on a Friday in front of the world where any attorney could jump on and talk some silly junk. They don't want to do it. So you see why you're wasting your time begging the court to give you your rights when you don't even know your rights. We need to be able to look at our state constitutions, know what's in there, and hold these people's feet to the fire and start talking about it and get it out in front of the world. If you don't make this your goal to teach people like crazy and take massive action after you've seen this, then you might not be a fighter. And I don't mind. Some people are going to say, well, I don't feel like doing it, Dave, because you don't tell me what to do. Fine. I don't care. We're going to win anyway, with or without you. God is going to do it. But you should want to step up for the people. Anyway, I love you guys. This video is yours. I pray that you guys stay out of trouble, enjoy, teach others, continue to kick butt, stand on the truth. If you believe this is PCAPS, I would love to see y'all everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, every social media, and telling people what you just saw and tagging the video. They're going to kill the link in a second where you can't do it in certain places, but I want you to at least try and do it. Go take it on Telegram and tear the world up with it, because you guys have all political power. I will catch you later, y'all guys. Stay out of trouble.